but I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night. Happy Monday. It's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may ask? Well, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And wow, per usual, we got a doozy for you tonight. Lots of news over the weekend. Lots of crazy stuff happening in the world in which we reside. And what does that mean? I don't even know what it means, to be perfectly honest. But I do know that, as you know me, I like to watch news cycles and see what's going on with all the things that they try and tell us is actually happening. But there's a whole lot happening that doesn't seem to be, well, discussed like it should be. And so some people get mad. So I get mad too, but other people start a talk show, start a radio show, and so here we are. I mean, like literally, truth is stranger than fiction. We talk about this quite often, and how you just can't make this stuff up sometimes. It is absolutely bizarre how just weirdly difficult the world has become just reading the news anymore. I mean, in the old days, at least the propaganda was hidden just a smidge, right? At least it was hidden in the fact that you didn't have to spend so much time sort of, I don't know, just trying to figure out what the heck is real and what the heck is not real. And here we are living in this post-truth world where it all doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. And, well, we got another crazy one for you tonight. So before we get into all that stuff, as you know, right, I don't have any inside sources. I'm just another Joe, except my name's Mike. but right, I'm just another Mike. And I'm just a jerk on the internet with a microphone, right? It doesn't make me any more or less right than anybody else. And I don't have any inside sources, okay? I want to make sure everybody understands that. This is not some sort of CIA psyop to try and get people to believe all kinds of nonsense. It's trying to figure out what this nonsense actually means. That's what this is about. And I do not have inside sources, and I say that because it is an important distinction to make. So many people are always like, oh, by the way, my sources are telling me. You know what I say to that? I say BS is what I say to that. Because either, this is the way I see it. This is the way I see the world, okay? Maybe I'm broken. Fine, right? Fine. But this is the way I see it. If you have inside sources, either, right, you're being fed disinformation, or two, you're part of the disinformation. You see? One or the other. You're clearly, sure, everybody says I got inside sources, I know what's happening, I know this, I know that, I know the other things. Well, I don't know anything. And so, like I said, it's an important distinction to make. And as a result, right, it's a conversation because since I don't know anything, I want to hear what you guys think. And it's a long-winded way of me saying, by the way, the secret weapon of troubled minds has always been you. Because we have an open phone line, several open phone lines. We've got an open Discord. You can come talk to me and talk to whoever might be listening, because that's the most important part here. What are normal people thinking about these crazy things we talk about on this radio show, all right? And so, well, if you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Phone number is up on the stream if you're watching the stream there. And there you go. You can't miss it. Right there on the bunker, the actual bunker. Everybody says they have a bunker, but I'm the only one with receipts. You can see me in it. 702-957-1037. Also, please join the Discord at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And you can find the phone number there, all the social media, the podcast, all the things you need. And come say hi. Click on one of the social medias or send me an email at troubledmindsradio@gmail. And I'll do my best to answer you. I answer everybody. And thanks for all the nice emails recently, by the way, for our show we did on Morgellons. Lots of nice folks are sending me emails, thanking me for doing it, sending me more information, and I appreciate that very much. So okay, so let's get to this. Let's see. So we're straight. Okay, another thing, real quick. So not only are we taking your phone calls, open Discord, the whole deal. We're also streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So please join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat, and also download the Fringe app at iTunes App Store, of course, the Android App Store. It's completely free. Easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, just at 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. Smash that play button, and there you go. You'll get me, and you'll also get all the rest of the amazing Fringe programming that's happening as well. So there you go. Simple as that. All right. So over the weekend here, lots of news coming out, fast and furious. A lot of propaganda. Again, we're told World War III is imminent, right? Like I've read probably over the last week or 10 days that Russia has already invaded Ukraine. All right, it's already happened, right? Like it's like I've never seen a press corps so gleeful and excited to report that we're going to war, right? And so as such, it's so much ridiculousness that they continue to report that Russia has invaded. Russia has invaded. Russia has invaded. We're hearing reports that Russia is invading within the next hour, within the next 3 hours. Russia's invading. Russia's invading. Russia's invading, right? And then, well, you wake up the next day and you check the news again, and you're like, oh, by the way, I guess Russia didn't invade yet. Like, what's going on? Like the press corps, like they always say, if it bleeds, it leads, right? They're just salivating for war. They're dying for war. Like, what is going on here? Like, what happened to, I don't know, not killing people? I guess that's a thing of the ancient past, right? Oh, I guess they murdered tons of people then too. But you get my point here. It's like, come on, like really? Can we just back off banging the war drums? And then you see the propaganda and the counter propaganda. And if you go, what are you guys talking about? Will you chill out? They'll be like, I knew it. You're a Russian asset. It's like, what? Like, will somebody use your brain? Come on. War's not good, people. I don't have to tell you that. If you're listening to this show, you're smarter than I am. You know this. War is not good, people. It's not. It's not a good thing. I don't care how you frame it. You're not going to convince me otherwise. It's not a good thing. All right? Anyway, regarding the propaganda and why I'm bringing up the Ukraine and all the rest of this nuttiness with the press, well, in case you've been paying attention, yeah, there's this thing going on with the 60 Minutes. Anybody see 60 Minutes over this past weekend? Yeah, what's back in the news? Yeah, Havana Syndrome. Havana Syndrome, right? We've talked about this a lot. We were talking about this long before anybody was talking about this on this show, years and years and years ago. And of course, we went through all the highs and lows of the drama. First, it was like, in the Havana embassy, we had people that were like, stricken by this mystery malady, brain damage, hearing loss, vision loss, nausea, over and over and over again, right? And not just one people, dozens of people, then later, years later, became hundreds of people. And then, of course, the drama of the crickets. Everybody remember the crickets, where they're like, well, we've determined it's probably crickets, right? They're causing brain damage. Yeah, that seems totally legit, right? Now, the thing is this, and this is what pisses me off about news cycles, about misinformation, about disinformation, about political lies to start wars. How the hell are we supposed to know what's true anymore at all? And I think that's the game, isn't it? The game is, once they've flooded so much garbage into the news cycles, we're not supposed to know what's true. So we don't even know what to be mad about, other than they're lying to us constantly, right? Constantly. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most about all of this, is they're lying to us constantly. And so what can you do? Like I said, start a radio show, right? Talk to regular people, maybe, because you get your information from these sources that are paid shills, basically. I mean, the internet uses the term shill pretty liberally, all right? And I mean liberally in a good way, not a bad way. But you know what I mean. I digress there. But so what I mean by this is that, no, not everybody is a shill. Just because you say, hey, hold on, can we not bang the war drums? No, I'm not a Russian shill. I just don't want people dead again and still and forever. Can we stop this madness? We're in this loop of madness, okay? Now, speaking of loop of madness, right? Again, over the weekend, they're bringing up Havana Syndrome again, right? But not only that, we get actual firsthand accounts of people that have been actually afflicted by this, okay? And still, we have people out there saying, well, this is not a real thing. It's some sort of psychosis. It's some sort of mind virus. It's some sort of malady inside of their head, right? Like they're causing this to themselves. And I'm like, what? Like, how does that make any sense whatsoever? Really? We've got mass hysteria to the point where people are getting brain damage? Is that what we've got now? That's what's going on? No, come on now, please. That makes no damn sense to me. I'm so stressed out, I'm just going to cause myself brain damage and hearing loss, right? Does a level of actual stress exist? Does that even exist? I don't think that exists. I don't even think that's a real thing. So how are we expected to believe that these people that have been afflicted by these things, this Havana Syndrome, are in some way causing it themselves? I mean, if that's the case, who's to blame? The press corps, right? All the lies, all the propaganda, all the BS spin on all the things that we always talk about, because there is no truth anymore. Post-truth world is where we live. And it's not fair. It's not fun. It is stressful. Because how the hell do we know if World War III begins tomorrow? We can't even tell because our press corps constantly lies because they want World War III tomorrow. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some insane things in my life, meaning news cycle-wise. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I haven't seen insane, sick things in person or the rest of that, right? But you get what I'm saying here. It becomes stressful just to live, all the negativity raining down on your head. It becomes stressful just to be alive anymore. There you go. Mass formation psychosis. That's the word that keeps happening, right? That just keeps popping up, that phrase. But now look, I'm not going to talk about that tonight. I'm talking about, what about mass hysteria? What about the fact that, much like the Morgellon show that we did last week with Daryl in New York. What's up, Daryl? I see you out there. Very similar in that you can't take people at their word, so you have to academic your way out of it, right? Meaning that, let's make up some stuff to say that these people are insane. Why? Why not get to the bottom of what's actually happening here? Let's talk to some of the victims of this. Let's look at some of the evidence of what's actually happening and not just say, oh, these people are just making it up. And before you say, what are you talking about, Mike? I've got all this. I've got clips on all this stuff, and it's nuts. This stuff is insane. All right. So over the weekend, 60 Minutes had a thing on the Havana Syndrome. So, okay. So first, before I play this and get started on this tonight, I want to say, I want to hear what you guys think regarding this Havana syndrome. The propaganda on this thing alone is through the roof. It's insane. First, it's the Cubans, then it's the Russians, then it's the Chinese, then it's us and the CIA, and we're on and on and on and on, right? You can't pin anything down. Oh, and then don't forget the crickets. It's the crickets. And then, of course, it's the mind virus. It's us doing this to ourselves. Really? Are you kidding me? No, if we're doing this to ourselves, the press corps, the governments involved are responsible for this, not us. Okay? Like I said, the stress of being alive anymore is a lot. It's a lot to handle. And that's why, by the way, I started a show called Troubled Minds. You get it? Does that make any sense? Of course it does, because there's a lot to be troubled about, as long as you consider things and think about them. It makes sense. All right. Now, so my questions tonight are this. Regarding something like Morgellons, like we talked about last week, regarding something like Havana syndrome and these other phantom afflictions, do you think it's possible to have some sort of mass hysteria where we're passing off this mind virus from one person to another and causing brain damage or causing lesions on your skin? Do you think this is possible? Is this even real? Well, there are people that seem to think so. There are actual people that seem to think so. So that's my question tonight, right? So we're going to get into directed energy weapons. We're going to get into the mind virus, and we're going to get into how the two are not similar at all. but somehow, some way, some people describe them as the exact same thing, meaning that, oh, direct energy weapons, they're not even real. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? There's so much evidence from actual, official government documents that say direct energy weapons are real. What is going on in this world? It's again, all right. So what are your thoughts regarding this? Is it possible? The very first thing, we've heard of mass hysteria. They use it to describe UFOs. If somebody saw UFOs, they're like, oh yeah, mass hysteria, these people, right? One person saw something they couldn't explain. They freaked out. They ran around saying, I saw little green men from Alpha Centauri. And then everybody's freaking out saying they saw UFOs. It's mass hysteria. It's mass hysteria. You know what they also called mass hysteria, by the way? Remember those drones in Colorado this past year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been? Yeah, they called that mass hysteria. They had people with photographs of these drones, just dozens of drones chilling out there on the countryside like they were surveilling something, right? Like nobody said they were UFOs or aliens or anything. They said they are drone swarms out there in the sky just hovering, like they're recording data or something, right? And you know what? They investigated the sheriff department. They called the government. Everybody said, no, there's nothing going on. Then what did they call it? Yeah, they called it mass hallucinations. They called it mass hysteria. Can you believe this? Like, at some point, we're being gaslighted to not even believe the things we see and hear anymore. And this is insanity. All of this drives me nuts, as you can tell. I'm a little amped up because, come on now. Like, if somebody says, I saw this, at some point, you got to listen. If somebody says, I experienced this, at some point, you got to listen. Like, what in the world is going on? So the question tonight is this. Do you think it's even possible, in any scope of the imagination, to share a mind virus that is so damaging it can cause brain damage, hearing loss, maybe vision loss, anything like this? Do you think this is even possible? I'm going to explain. Don't worry. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Now, this is from 60 Minutes last night. And this is what I'm talking about. This is what got me fired up again about this. It's like, look, I've been talking about this for literally years now. Years. 4 years. Troubled Minds, first week of April. Years. I can say years now. I've been talking about Havana syndrome for years and how terrifying this actually is. Okay? All right. Now, listen to this. Let's see. Where are we going to start? This is from 60 Minutes last night. And they're talking about this. And they're discussing what this actually is and what's happening to people who've actually experienced this. Not just the sounds. By the way, there's a recording of the sound itself that actually has been released finally through 60 Minutes, through these whistleblowers. All right? It goes deeper than that. This story goes back further than they're letting on. And I've got proof of that. And we're going to get to that tonight. Now, look. As always, I don't know anything, but there are government documents. There are people out there pressing these things, doing FOIAs, pressing for answers and getting letters and things from the government themselves. All right. There's information out there that describes this as not being new. This has been around for a very long time. And not only that, now they're trying to tell us if it's not crickets, it's mass hallucinations. It's mass hysteria. Let's play this. This is what we heard last night on 60 Minutes. A couple clips real fast. We'll wind this up. I got plenty of clips to play tonight, but bear with me. Part 1, action.
You must have thought that when you were home in America that you were safe.
I'll tell you, when I landed from China, I literally was kissing the ground.
We met Robin Garfield in 2019. He's a Commerce Department official who told us that he, his wife, and 2 children were repeatedly hit in China.
Your daughter was literally falling down?
Yes, she fell down multiple times that day.
They were evacuated and enrolled in a State Department treatment program at the University of Pennsylvania. Recently, Garfield told us his family was hit again during their year of treatment in Philadelphia.
My wife catapulted out of bed and sprinted down the hallway to check the children without any word. And she came back and she told me that a extremely loud, painful sound had woken her up.
So they moved to a hotel where Garfield says it happened again.
You catch that? So not only did they move, they found out that moving around stopped it. But then once they got to a hotel, it happened again. It followed them. It followed them. Does this sound familiar? Does this sound maybe something like out of Skinwalker Ranch, the hitchhiker effect? It followed them. It reminds me of Poltergeist. Remember with the TV when they finally moved out of that house at the end when they got Carol Ann back from Stay Away from the Light, Carol Ann, that fame? Remember that? When they finally checked into the hotel at the end, they threw the TV out. Right? Remember that? So what the hell's going on here? How does this follow people? All right. Here's the other second part of that, and then we'll get to the rest of this tonight.
And we woke up around, I believe, 2 a.m. With strange vibrations in our bodies and a sound,
which led Garfield to check on his children in another room.
I saw an extremely eerie scene where both were thrashing in their beds, asleep, but both kicking and moving pretty aggressively. And I went over to my daughter and I put my head down next to her head, and I heard a very distinct sound just right there, sort of like water rushing. So I picked her up, took her in, put her with my wife, and came back, and I checked my son. Same sound just right next to his head. So I picked him up, put him on my shoulder, walked over to my wife, and I said, "We're getting out of here."
Garfield reported this to the FBI. Today, his family is posted abroad, where they continue to work to improve balance, eyesight, and memory.
Okay. So right? This is eyewitness. This is somebody who was there, somebody who's experienced this, somebody who's been afflicted by this, his children, his wife, the entire damn family. They move and it follows them. What the hell's going on here? What are your thoughts on this? This is just the beginning. This is a rabbit hole that goes layers deep. Yeah. This really irritates me because, again, it's being politicized. It's being used to maybe bang the war drums. Who knows what the hell's really going on with this? Are these disinformation agents? I hate to say that. I hate to think that. But here we are, living in a post-truth world where everybody wants to bang a damn war drum. You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. Talking about Havana Syndrome tonight. Talking about, is this a mind virus or is this actually some sort of direct energy weapon? You tell me. Anywhere in between. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More directed energy weapons, mind viruses, and you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on The Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight on this Havana syndrome. Some call it a mind virus. Is it even possible through stress and manipulation to cause yourself brain damage, to cause yourself hearing loss, to cause yourself all manner of things they're describing as maybe crickets, or maybe a figment of our imagination? Is this propaganda? Is this real? And I don't know the answer to this. It's unbelievable that we can't even take people's eyewitness testimony at face value anymore without considering, well, are these propaganda agents just paid to say these things to make us believe some things, to bang some more war drums? It's absurd. It is absurd living in this world we live in with all the lying dog media that I always talk about that just, again, really spawned a radio show. It spawned all the garbage out there, made me have to say something. And here we are. And I don't soapbox a lot. I don't do a ton of that. But here we are. Like, at what point can you start to believe anything anymore at all? Mind virus or directed energy weapon? Mass hysteria or actual brain damage? There's quite a huge difference there. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't have any ideas on this other than I don't know what to think anymore. I thought I used to, but now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. What do we think here? Is it possible to cause yourself brain damage, hearing loss, anything like this, just through stress, just through this mind virus, this mass psychosis, or mass hysteria, as it's known? I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. Some people say it may be. I don't know. I've never been part of mass hysteria in my life, and you tell me. You tell me. 702-957-1037. And so, yeah, so you go, and again, all the links are in the description. I got this, of course, some of this. I didn't take too much from 60 Minutes because, of course, they'll slap you with a copyright suit because, whatever. But I mean, this is terrifying. And 60 Minutes, of course, is not like the bastion of independent thought here. Like they are very much part of a huge media conglomerate apparatus. It's just what they are. And so my point being is that just because they put it on the show on Sunday night doesn't mean a damn thing to me, other than they want us to believe something in particular. Because, of course, real journalism is dead. And prove me wrong. Tell me it's still alive somewhere, and I'll believe you. And sure, there are some good people out there doing God's work, for sure. But by and large, for the most part, it doesn't exist anymore. And so what does this mean? What does this mean? So this individual that we heard in the clip before the break there, him and his family are afflicted by this Havana syndrome. They leave the premises, and then they go stay in a hotel. What happens? It begins again in a new location. It's like they were being followed. And as you know, this has been heavily speculated to be a directed energy weapon, okay? A actual, like, microwave weapon, a acoustic weapon, whatever this is, right? Like some kind of low auditory thing that's causing brain damage or disorientation or vomiting or all of the above, right? Hearing loss, long-term memory loss, like all kinds of things this has been described as. And so the question is this real? Is it real at all? Or is this just another mind virus perpetrated by a lying media and a lying government that would have us believe this is war? You tell me. You hear some of the statements people make about this, and they're making statements like even on 60 Minutes last night. Oh, by the way, this is just short of war. And so I'm like, okay, right? It throws you off. You're like, wait, I thought I knew what was what, but then you start to drop hints like that in here, that subliminal, oh, by the way, this means war. It's like, okay, isn't there enough of that going on right now with that? Couldn't they have edited that part out? No, of course not, because fear is the mind virus, is it not? And that's what we're talking about tonight. So this idea of the direct energy weapon actually being caused by well, I don't know, a device of some sort, aimed at people and causing them disorientation and all these other symptoms. Well, tell me, I don't know. There's a lot here, right? I'm going to get into direct energy weapons and the rest of this, but I'd rather hear what you guys think. Do you actually think that this is possible? That a mind virus is able to, through stress and through mass psychosis, mass hallucination, mass hysteria, actually are we able to create brain damage for ourselves? Is this a possible thing? Without any sort of microwave weapon, direct energy weapon, any type of auditory weapon, any type of anything. Is it possible? And that's what I'm wondering tonight. I don't know what to think anymore, to be perfectly honest, because this stuff is just, yeah. Anyway, so let's play a couple more clips. Now, why do I say mind virus? All right. Why do I say this? Why do I say, oh, by the way, some people don't even believe this is real, right? Well, this is why. This is a clip from a podcast done by Mick West. You guys know Mick West? Let's see. This is from this date here, and it's called, his number is October 22nd, 2021. All right? He had Havana syndrome and mass psychogenic illness. They're calling this mass psychogenic illness from Robert Bartholomew. All right? Now, listen to this. This is the thing that just gets me super riled up. All right? Listen to this.
Well, Professor Ballo and myself would be happy to testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And honestly, I think that would be the end of Havana syndrome. I really do, because we would point out what's been going on here. I can tell you right now, I'll resign my position as an honorary senior lecturer in the Department of Psychological Medicine at Auckland University if anybody can demonstrate to me that the diplomats and intelligence officers in Cuba suffered brain damage, or that there was hearing loss or major white matter tract changes in people's brains. This is science fiction. And look, if I had $100 to bet, I would bet every single penny on the mass psychogenic illness horse, because it's going to come in.
Mass psychogenic illness. And this big spender would not just resign his position, he'd bet a whole $100. Come to Vegas, brother. $100 ain't anything. But look, you hear what he just said. Mass psychogenic illness. What causes that? Does anybody know? That's why I'm using the term mind virus. By the way, there's actually a definition for mind virus. You know what this is? Let me read this to you. Here we go. And some have actually described a mind virus as religion. You see what I mean? Gaslighting to the nth degree. Look at this. This is, to say that something is real, first, we need a definition. A mind virus is an idea or related set of ideas that inhabits vulnerable minds, creates conflict in the mind for a period of time until resolution, and can spread from that mind to other minds. Okay. All right. Are we clear on the definition? Now, now that we know what the definition is, back to the question. Is it possible for a mind virus to infect people to the point where they get brain damage, hearing loss, and all the rest of this? Seems unlikely if you ask me. But what do I know? As I always say, and it's the truth, I'm just a knucklehead on the internet with a microphone. But, right, I do have a lick of common sense. And so you can tell me that if, let's say, for instance, you're in a crowded place, all right? And somebody screams, he's got a gun, right? And then everybody starts freaking out, okay? That I could see as being some sort of mass hysteria, because people are like, oh goodness, somebody has a gun. It's a crowded place. I don't know. It could be the person next to me. People freak out and start trampling each other, all right? So in that term, even if the person doesn't have a gun, somebody was making a bad joke, whatever, right? It's still, in some sense, a mind virus. But you get what I'm saying. People have this self-preservation thing. People don't want to die, right? We don't want to get shot. Okay. And so you don't know, you're looking around, there's people everywhere around you. Somebody says he's got a gun. People start trampling each other. And it turns out, maybe nobody even had a gun at all. All right. So mass hysteria is real. All right. But how does that happen when we're talking about diplomats and people that work all over the world in different places that, as far as we know, don't even barbecue together? Does this make any sense at all? Like I said, is this one big gaslighting session just as they laugh at us and just tell us this is real, it's not real, it is real, it's not real? What is it? Which is it? That's what I want to know. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to, I think Daryl's here. Let's go to Daryl in New York. Test 1, 2. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Are you there? Hello, hello. Daryl, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you? Test. Okay, so you're there. You're in there. Okay, hello.
Sorry.
That's okay. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Daryl in New York, what are your thoughts on this? Is this possible?
Thank you, Michael. I'm so glad you're bringing this subject up. This has been on the buzz all weekend, by the way, through Twitter. I like Twitter. I hear a lot of things on Twitter, and they've been buzzing about this, so it's very current that you're bringing this up. I want to first say I'm very sorry for anybody that's suffering from this, because I know they feel that they've been a victim of something very strange. I'm sure they don't think this is normal. And, when you know your body, you know your health, and I can't believe they're trying to say, oh, you're just crazy. It's just like everything else, like Morgellons, like injuries from other medicines. They just try to say it's in your mind. And that's not fair. I don't think that's fair. And I have a lot of empathy. And I think we should have a lot of empathy for these poor people that are suffering. I think it's terrible. I have a list of things I wanted to just bring up. Let me just get my list. Hold on.
Sure. Please don't get me taken off of YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention that, too. I mean, can we talk about this stuff? I don't even know.
I don't even know either. I don't even know.
We might have to take this one down. I'm not sure. Just the buzz this weekend was like all about this. People are discussing this. I want to say what they were saying. Some of the things they were saying was that, in Australia, okay, they were protesting something in Australia, and a lot of people came down with a radiation type of sickness. They all had sunburns on their faces, and they were vomiting, they had diarrhea, and they were at a protest, and they felt that they were, like, attacked by some sort of an energy weapon. I'm just saying. I just heard this on the internet. Doesn't mean it's true.
I saw that. I did see that.
Okay. Well, what was that? How did that happen? And I heard somebody else discussing something similar, that a lot of people even think Morgellons was some sort of an energy-based weapon, or some sort of an intentional infection of some sort. Who knows? I don't know about that, but she was going into some very interesting things. And then she was saying that they're capable of doing this through the internet. I want to say something about a treatment that I bought for Morgellons, because I bought everything, I bought a Spooky 2 device. It was a Rife machine. And you could use somebody's DNA to treat them remotely. You could put a toenail of somebody's. If they send you a toenail, and you could set that machine up to treat that toenail, and wherever they were in the world, it would get to them. I don't know if this is true, I don't know. You could treat multiple different people at the same time for the same problem. If you send, Marcia has one too, and she's actively doing this. She'll if you have a problem with Morgellons, they sell it to people that had Morgellons, because it has all these frequencies that are supposed to treat it. Oh, I think they could do a lot with frequencies. I could do that myself. I mean, I could have my own homemade frequency machine and do some kind of remote curing. Now, are they going to weaponize something like that? Of course. Why not? They weaponize everything. So, I'm a little bit, skeptical and a little bit cynical, unfortunately. But, I've been through a lot, so that's probably why. I've been on that side of that, psychogenic condition. How did I get that too, And right now I got to say something. I think I was attacked somehow because my hair is falling out. And I don't understand why my hair is falling out. But I don't know. I'm going to go to the dermatologist tomorrow. Hopefully they'll help me. But who knows? Maybe I got something through the internet. Can they attack us through our our online activities through our television sets, through our smart television sets. Why do we have our television so smart?
Exactly. So you see what I'm saying, sort of with that poltergeist, right? So they were being haunted, right? Remember, she put her hands on the screen. They're here. The TV people are here. And then finally, when they moved out, went to the hotel, they threw the TV out. They're like, forget this. We don't need this at all. What's happening is we have exactly the same thing happening with these firsthand accounts of this Havana syndrome. They left their home because they're like, forget it. No way. We can't do this. It seems to be localized here. They left. They went to a hotel. It picked up again in the hotel. So is that not like you could describe as a haunting of some sort, right? And I mean, this is where it starts to get extremely foggy, because there are some people that say, we'll play it a little bit later, that there's maybe a white van outside broadcasting a signal inside that's causing these issues, right? But then some where there's nothing at all. It's pretty wild, pretty wild. You had some notes here. We got a call behind you, so let's get to your notes.
Well, I think I went through most of them. I think, and well, then there's this, who's doing this? Who's behind it? Is it our people? Is it their people? Is it our enemies? Is it our own government? Who the hell is doing this and why? What is this agenda? This is what they were discussing also. There's some sort of terrible agenda going down with people that are very wealthy that we didn't elect. What the hell? Who made them in charge? Are they in charge of this? Are they punishing people? Why are we being punished? Who decides why we should be punished? This is all the questions that were coming up on the internet. Oh, there I go. I think I've ranted enough. I hope you don't get taken down for this.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I appreciate it very much. You're welcome to stay right there. Just please mute up. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thanks for the phone call. This is Daryl in New York. Again, she peeled out a bunch of time for us last week, and we did a show on Morgellons. Please check that out. And it is similar. It is related. And also check out her YouTube channel. She's got a YouTube channel. She sings in English and French. Links in the description. Thanks again, Daryl. You're the best. Appreciate it very much. We're still talking about this. Directed energy weapons versus the mind virus. Let's go back to the definition. The mind virus is this: an idea or related set of ideas that inhabits vulnerable minds, creates conflict in the mind, and can spread from that mind to other minds. Is this really what's going on right now? Is this Havana syndrome? Does that make any sense whatsoever to you guys? I have a hard time reconciling that this is even possible. But we got this one doctor guy on the Mick West podcast. It's like, I'll spend $100. I've lost twice that in one hand of poker, bro. That's a joke. It's $100. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. Anyway, my point being, is this even possible? Like Daryl said, is it possible to spread information like this through the internet and maybe infect us that way through this same sort of mind virus? We're talking about the Havana syndrome tonight, talking about 60 Minutes from last night, talking about how this follows people around. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to MJ in Virginia. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Michael, it's quite possible that they're doing all that. As far as frequencies, they can be in a crowd and affect certain people a certain way, and it just feeds to other people. So they don't have to affect everybody. Just the ones that are going to be most affected by it. They're going to be the most dramatic about it, and then it just spreads to other people, and people are sort of, they don't know what to believe or not believe, so they're going to sort of go with the panic. It's like that's what they did with this pandemic. They went with the panic of it. And I don't want to repeat myself, but some of the stuff I experienced when I was called out, they got into my head and were able to call me out because they attached to a certain frequency that I was putting out. So they look for people that can do this to do their experiments on it. It's not so much punishment, but they're experimenting on these things. And absolutely, they have. I don't know if you want to call it microwave energy, because a microwave would suggest that they could fry you. But yeah, I mean, they're starting to experiment on people like that, and I think that it's more combination of high-tech stuff they've discovered, plus along with a little extraterrestrial stuff they've discovered or been working with, and then putting the combinations of it in.
Yeah. Okay. So you think it is possibly not just so we're led to believe it's either one of two things. It's China or Russia impacting our people, or it's this mind virus, right? It's some sort of mass psychosis. Well, so you think there's another alternative here? You brought up extraterrestrials. How do you think that's involved?
I think it's just some of the technology we've combined with it. I know for a fact that they've got some of it because I've seen too much of it up in the air or next to me, actually, for that to be going on. You know, I cannot think that we're that smart that we've gotten that far with our technology. I just don't believe it. And there's been some intervention or, like I said, some contacts with the extraterrestrial. Some technology's been changed out because they've got some stuff going on that, I mean, they can take a whole, it look like a mountain sitting there and there's no mountain at all. Just the hologram of it. And with either China or Russia doing it, no. I don't think it's any one country. I think it's a conglomerate of countries that are getting together and doing this stuff. It's not like a big race with any of it because China doesn't have that kind of technology. Neither does Russia. You know, they're still with their big weapon jet. If they're working on it, so is the United States. You know, you've got your major countries that would be working on it. That would be China, Russia, us. Who knows? I don't know if any other countries would actually be doing that. Over in the European countries, maybe, I don't know, France would be doing that. But they would be the only countries we gravitate to because they're the only ones that are mentioned. And another thing, in the media, they repeat things. It's like suddenly all across the media, it's the same story. And comfort food for the brain is repetition. You know, if you get that a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, and you keep repeating it, your brain wants to do that for comfort. It's like you like to watch old movies, you know, because it's comforting to watch this old movie because you know what's coming. So that's comforting. People don't like to know it when if something's coming, they don't know what it is. They don't like it. And that's why everybody's so disarrayed right now because every time you turn around, it's another variant, it's this, all the war, all this stuff. So they're keeping people so you're not complacent. And so they're going after you like that. So that's part of a brain virus, if you want to call it that. But they're manipulating people enough to know it's just human behavior they're attacking. And then you add an extra frequency, you know, twist to it. That's even worse. And that can start if it's in you, that could explode your heart or give you cancer or do anything with you. It depends on how they twist it and it would have to be natural to your body. Let's say you had cancer or warts or a heart attack or, you know, something. It would be a general frequency and whatever, what is it? How am I going to put this? I can't even think of the word. Your immune system, it would go in there as the same thing as, like these viruses attack your immune system. So it's not the virus that kills you, it's the weakness of the immune system. So they can take the frequency and just attack your immune system and it'll find what you're weak to and just go after it like that.
Okay, I got you. All right, so you think that there is something afoot here. This isn't an actual conspiracy. It's an actual conspiracy. MJ, you're the best. We're out of time, my friend. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you for listening. Always a pleasure.
Bye, bye.
Have a great night. There you go. Simple as that. That's MJ in Virginia. Good friend of mine. Good friend of the show. Hot take there. I love it. What do you think? Is possible to spread something like brain damage through a mind virus? Something like Havana syndrome. You tell me. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Shout out to Algorithm and the mind virus. I was listening to his show on Saturday night, and he was talking about it a little bit as well. And I don't know. I thought I used to know something, and the more I learn, the less I think I know. It's ridiculous. One more time. What are your thoughts? Is this possible? 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More direct energy weapons, mind viruses, and your phone calls when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe.
And they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Monday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may ask? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Tonight, we're talking about Havana Syndrome. Is it possible that this is not some sort of directed energy weapon, but it is a product of mass psychosis brought on by, who knows, the internet, by the media, by government, by, you tell me. We're expected to believe somehow, some way, that if it's not crickets, if it's not China or Russia, it couldn't be anything else except the mind virus itself. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time limiting possibilities because, of course, my whole goal here is to expand the possibilities of things that they don't want to tell us, that they don't want to talk about. If you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as simple as that. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter. Broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Please join the Fringe Discord at fringe.fm/chat. Download the Fringe app at for free at iTunes or Android App Store, and it's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Just smash the play button. All right, let's do it. Let's get to some phone calls. Let's go to Mike in Colorado. Welcome, Algorithm, to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? Go right ahead.
Hey, I'm doing really well, Michael Strange. Thank you for taking my phone call. Firstly, when I think of a mind virus, I think of it like a computer virus, where you have a system that's working pretty well, and then something gets embedded that changes the way it's supposed to work originally. So that's my whole premise when I talk about mind virus, or think of it. That being said, I think it's highly possible, given that we've learned the brain can reroute synapses to overtake different functions. For example, like after a stroke, and people lose their ability to speak a little bit because it died, they'll with enough therapy and enough practice, the brain will actually reroute some of the speech center so that person can regain some of their language. So I think the brain itself makes the mind, or is the platform for the mind in my world. So if I have a mind virus of a thing, specifically the last 2 years, and I adopt it, and it overwrites my rationality that I used to have, I think it's possible. When your caller spoke earlier about brain damage, I think that would be a form of brain damage, wouldn't it?
It sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like it. So what about if is it possible that so much of this disinformation and all this stress media of, like putting up the COVID deaths on the screen like it's a basketball score, things like this, right? Fear. Do you think it's possible that, I don't know, maybe that mixed with something else is what's causing this, and it actually isn't as they say, meaning it's not some sort of directed energy weapon regarding this Havana Syndrome? So the point tonight is, do you think it's possible that we can cause this damage to ourselves through this idea of the mind virus kind of in concept?
Oh, I think 100%. Directed energy weapons, I personally think, are physical I don't think the mind itself is physical. I think it's like ethereal or it's energy. The brain is physical, so you could damage a brain with a magnetic weapon. But I think what we're seeing in society, they call it some mass psychosis something, and that term that was going around for a couple weeks. I totally think that that's what it is. I've seen it in people, and people that I knew before had some grasp on reality and questioned some things and wondered about things. It's taken them over to where whatever comes out of the officials' narrative is the truth, 100% for them, and it's very scary.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And like I said, I used to think I knew what the answer was here, but I'm not so sure anymore. I mean, we've got these individuals coming out. Did you watch that the 60 Minutes last night? Did you catch any bit of that with the Havana Syndrome and the actual first-person accounts?
Yeah, I caught some clips. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, so what they were saying is that it seemed like it was following them, right? So they would leave their house and they would go somewhere else to a hotel, and then this idea that this maybe was an acoustic weapon or some sort of microwave weapon followed them somehow, and it was affecting their children, their entire family. And how do you have it like localized, affecting you in your house, move to a hotel, and then it's affecting you there as well? Something's up, right?
Yeah, for sure. Either their technology with it is far more advanced than we can find and prove, or it's probably more organic as a mind virus.
Right, exactly. Like it's implanted somehow. And some people have mentioned maybe our cell phones, things like this. Do you think that would be possible?
Oh, I wouldn't put it past it, but I would want to find some... an EMF detector or a radiation detector, and I'd want to take a look at some phones from those people and from people that don't have it before I would kind of go that way. But I think that's possible.
All right. Fair enough. What are your thoughts here? If you got to pin this Havana Syndrome down to one thing, do you think it is a physical weapon, or do you think it is something like a mind virus?
If I had to ask, I'd say, or if I were asked, I'd say like you just did. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. I would say it's a mind virus, and it was a very powerful one. We've seen them before, like Jim Jones, the Hale-Bopp comic cult, to where it's not just annoying and it makes my ears buzz. It's to where a person will take their own life with a mind virus. So that's where my reference points are.
Okay, all right, that makes sense to me. And that's kind of what I'm getting at here is this even possible? And the more I'm thinking about it, I think maybe this is. Maybe there's something sort of out there that they're intentionally putting into us and causing this damage. I don't know. All I know is it pisses me off, whatever the hell's going on. That's for sure.
I thank you for the show. You're such a good host. I appreciate it anytime I get to be here. So keep it up, and I will talk to you later, okay?
Thanks, Mike. Have a fantastic night. That's Mike in Colorado. Algorithm. Link is going to be in the chat right now. Give him a follow. Like I said, I was listening to his show on Saturday night, and he was talking about the mind virus itself. And that's a good thing. This is exactly what we need to talk about when we consider these things. Is this even possible? Is it possible to cause yourself brain damage of some sort through any of these means? And that's what I'm talking about tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Here's Algorithm's link again. Hold on. Let's see. There we go. Copy link. All right. Dropping it in the chat. Please give him a follow on YouTube. And also, by the way, he was trying to get on Rockfin as well. If you like his show, and I think you probably should, send an email to Rockfin support and say, hey, we want to get Mike on Rockfin from the Algorithm channel. I'd appreciate that very much. It helped with me. Robert sent an email, and then suddenly they invited me, whereas they declined me before. So there you go. If we demand it, the people demand it, things happen. So what are your thoughts on this? 702-957-1037. It's strange, isn't it? That now we're kind of caught in between. Is this really a situation where we're being stalked by these sort of directed energy weapons, these microwave weapons or these audio weapons, whatever it happens to be, that are causing brain damage? Or is this some sort of maybe covert MK Ultra type of thing? And I think that's the question here. When you start to really kind of grind down and consider what the heck is really going on, it's I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what to think anymore. One more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hey, you talked about repetition a lot, and I think that's like a key thing that they're going for. And like, I forgot what I was going to say completely, but I kind of know. I think I think they have like mind wipes, and I think it has to do with like the the institution, like the institutions and stuff. And it's like what do you call it? It goes for like specific consciousness. Like maybe it like stops something from like transferring. Like I don't know, because like I have like bipolar. So like what they did to me was change my brain waves from like they stopped them from going high. But what caused me to get there saved my life. And I it was like something that got me out of a situation. I was like stuck in a situation. So, but like I realized when they got me on this medication that like maybe they got everyone on the same stuff that I was on. Like even the people, like that guy who I told you did the manslaughter, he was on the same stuff as me for some reason. Maybe because it does something not on the surface that we know of. Like maybe it's, and I don't know. I wasn't going to bring that up, but that's all I go back to when I start talking about stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
So like being around toxic stuff, like it builds up short term, like it's like a virus, right? But you can break that. But what if there's stuff built into us from generations and generations of this mind that we never broke, and it just built into us? And there's certain stuff that you can get into and you just don't want to go there. It's like accessing your ancestors when they were in a time of, you're basically accessing something that is like primitive almost, but not, I mean.
And built into our DNA somehow. So we're somehow realizing that this is a vulnerability within us, and we're accessing it somehow through technology, is what you're saying?
I mean, I have theories. That's something I fear, actually. Like, everything we're talking about right now is I fear, because, like, even talking right now, I fear, like, rubbing off on people and stuff. Like, I mean, that's an obvious, but, I mean, that happens, but not, like accidental, like I could see like a freedom being like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm really going for here.
That's
I could
okay.
see it just being like different recipes. Like if it is a thing, I could see like they try to do something, but then naturally it's like a kickstarting something, you know, and then the engine kicks it up and gets it going.
Okay. All right. So all the possibilities are open here. I do like the idea that maybe this is somehow a way to exploit something maybe built into our DNA, and maybe we didn't realize it was there, and now, who knows, right? You kick on whatever frequency, and this turns people into to mush. You know, not good. Fantastic stuff, my friend. What else you got for us?
I mean, that's really it. Like energy weapons, I think of like a tattoo remover, because it shoots like a laser and like smack, like it smacks. I don't know if it's like an invisible pulse, and it like cracks on your skin. And I imagine if they made a giant one of those, that thing would be able to like shoot like missiles out the air or something. Like it's like, they're pretty cool. That's like a directed energy. I don't know. That's the only thing I can really think of though.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. Very good stuff as always, Joseph. You're the best. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Host. Check it out. Links in the description down below. He does original music and some other stuff. Appreciate the call, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Have a great night, man. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. Fantastic calls from everybody. As always, we're discussing this idea of directed energy weapons regarding the Havana Syndrome. On 60 Minutes this past Sunday, they had this whole hour-long thing where they interviewed people. And again, right, like my default is I want to believe people. Like Daryl said, if people are suffering from this stuff, I happen to believe them, you know? And if it is some sort of direct energy weapon, well, that's fine, except it's not fine, right? But some people are suggesting that it's not at all, that it is some form of mass psychosis. And so my question tonight is this. Is it even possible to have a mass psychosis that you pass on from, I don't know, idea to idea, like this mind virus that causes brain damage, right? That causes hearing loss, that causes loss of eyesight, that causes long-term memory loss, that causes all kinds of things. I mean, the list of Havana Syndrome causes are long and horrific. And so what is a mind virus, you may ask? Well, funny you should ask. A mind virus is an idea or related set of ideas that inhabits vulnerable minds, creates conflict in the mind, and can spread from that mind to other minds. And so my question is it possible that in and of itself, the mind virus in and of itself, can cause brain damage just through an idea from person to person? And if that's the case, can this be spread through television? Can this be spread through the internet? Can this be spread just through the idea of what Havana Syndrome may or may not be? No, I have a hard time believing that. I want to believe people when they say something happened to them. And let's play another couple clips here. Now, this is exactly what went down. All right. Let's see. Speaking of, let's see. How about this right here? Now, this is another eyewitness last night that actually has been afflicted by Havana Syndrome. This was on 60 Minutes. And listen to this. All right. Now, we've talked about targeted individuals in the past. We've talked about MK Ultra. We've talked about things like this. But listen to what this individual says. This is wild.
Those others include Miles Taylor, also speaking for the first time. Taylor was Deputy Chief of Staff and later Chief of Staff of the Trump administration Department of Homeland Security.
Your job is to oversee the roughly 250,000 men and women of the department that conduct in a range of missions from aviation security to border security to cyber security.
Taylor told us he was hit with the same symptoms described by Olivia Troy.
It was late one night in April 2018. I'd just become Deputy Chief of Staff of the department, taking on some additional sensitive issues at DHS, and woke up in my apartment that night, a row house on Capitol Hill, to a really strange sound.
The sound that woke Miles Taylor is a common experience reported by dozens of Americans stricken overseas.
It was sort of a chirping, somewhere between what you would think is a cricket or sort of a digital sound. I didn't know what it was, but it was enough to wake me up.
Okay, enough to wake me up, right? Somewhere between a cricket and a digital sound. Now we do have a recording of the actual sound itself, all right? The supposed sound is causing this. Now, again, I want to stress, before I play it, I will give you a warning. I'm not going to play it right now. I'll play it later in the last segment here on Fringe. But the thing is, right, regarding an energy weapon like this, it's not the audio itself, it would be the power behind it. So meaning that if I just play like a little clip and it's coming through kind of these crappy speakers I have right here, it's only coming through with the power of these crappy speakers, right? It's not with the full force of whatever thing would be happening. But I will warn you if you don't want to hear it later. It's not harmful, I promise you that. It's just, these are the sounds. The guy recorded it. He recorded it on his phone or whatever when it was happening, and we have the sound actually now where we can listen to this and go, okay, what's going on with this? This seems way, way, way out there. But so it continues, right? So this guy, this individual, he was woken up in the middle of the night by this audio frequency, this sound, something, okay? And it was causing him headaches. It was causing him illness. He nothing was right, dizziness, all the rest of this, okay? But then listen what happens. It woke him up. He was feeling these symptoms, and then look what happened next.
What was really strange about it is I went to the window, opened up my window, looked down at the street, and keep in mind, Scott, this is probably 3:30 in the morning, and I see a white van, and the van's brake lights turned on, and it pulled off, and it sped away.
How long did it last?
This whole episode only lasted about 7 to 10 minutes.
How did you feel the next day?
Off, not ready to go to work, kind of wanting to take the day off, sick.
Then, about 5 weeks later, Taylor says it happened again.
Next day, feeling off balance, feeling just out of it. Again, those sort of concussion-like symptoms you would have from, getting knocked pretty hard in a sport. And that incident stood out to me because I was actually just getting ready to leave to go to Israel on a congressional delegation. We were going to meet the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, have some sensitive conversations with the Israelis on important cybersecurity issues. And I remember because I got to the airplane at Andrews Air Force Base to take off and thought, I'm already nauseous. I don't know if I can do this flight.
Both Miles Taylor and Olivia Troy became critics of the Trump administration. But they told us that has nothing to do with what they see as a potential threat to national security.
Okay, right? The potential threat to national security. And this is what I'm saying, right? Some of the language in this made my propaganda feels tingle. You know what I mean? My tinfoil started tingling a little bit. Okay. Very much like when they talk about UFOs and then bring up the national security aspect, right? It's like, oh, do we want more funding? What's going on here, right? It's what makes me suspicious when they start speaking in terms of this. Okay, but listen, this guy had a white van at 3 or 3:30 in the morning that he says woke him up. He looked outside and they drove away. All right, Bailey's saying the audio itself can affect you. All right, so I won't play the audio. I will have the clip if you guys want to listen to it. I'm not going to play it on the radio just in case. Well, or on the side of caution here. But point is this, right? Do you think it's even possible? This whole idea of these directed energy weapons and this mind virus. And why I keep calling this a mind virus is this exactly. Listen to this.
Well, Professor Ballo and myself would be happy to testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And honestly, I think that would be the end of Havana syndrome. I really do, because we would point out what's been going on here. I can tell you right now, I'll resign my position as an honorary senior lecturer in the Department of Psychological Medicine at Auckland University if anybody can demonstrate to me that the diplomats and intelligence officers in Cuba suffered brain damage, or that there was hearing loss or major white matter tract changes in people's brains. This is science fiction. And look, if I had $100 to bet, I would bet every single penny on the mass psychogenic illness horse, because it's going to come in.
Mass psychogenic illness. Do you think that's what's going on here? Is that or is that not what you would call the mind virus? You tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't have any answers. I wish I did. The more information comes out about this, the more confused I get. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More mass hysteria, Havana syndrome, and your calls when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls discussing whether this Havana syndrome is actually a direct energy weapon, right? Something like this, microwaves or audio or something. Or is it possible that this is mass hysteria, the mind virus, as I'm calling it tonight? What does this even mean? Does this sound like propaganda? Does this sound like, I don't know, paranormal or UFOs? Or I have no damn idea anymore. I don't know what to think. If you want to be part of the discussion, I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Appreciate all the phone calls tonight. Always great stuff from all the amazing troubled minds out there. Let's go to James in Michigan. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Are you there? Test 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. I got some. Hold on. Did I see this right? Maybe I didn't see this right. Yeah. James, are you there? Maybe not. All right, something broken with Discord or something broken here. Let's hang tight, James, see if you can get that fixed. Let's go to Bailey. Bailey, are you here talking? Or are you just listening? Test 1 2.
I can talk.
Bailey,
you're talking.
Bailey, I'm talking. Hey, I'm talking here. Bailey in California. Go right ahead. What's your thought on this? Is this some sort of maybe targeted individual / MK Ultra connection, or do you think it's something else entirely?
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure this has happened to me for like 18 years now, so I'm pretty sure it's a targeted individual thing. I don't think it's a psychosis thing. I've actually been diagnosed non-psychotic by multiple mental health experts, so that whole story to me feels very much like a narrative trying to distract people from the truth. It's more swamp gas to me. I think this is like a real issue, and it's targeted attacks. It could be through like satellite systems. It doesn't have to be someone following you around all day. It could be that too, but I think there's a lot more to it, and I think they're intentionally trying to, kind of like the UFO thing right now. They're trying to kind of put out something there that may be the truth, but doesn't seem like it to me. And their reason for doing that is, I think, inherently so that people will stop asking questions.
Right. So, did you get a chance Did you get a chance to watch the 60 Minutes last night?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched some clips today.
Yeah, I think the most important part is the eyewitness accounts, right? And so some of them, in this one case, the guy says he moved places with his family from his house to some other place. So do you think it's at the level to where we're literally following these folks to like drive them insane? What's going on here? This is nuts.
I mean, I can say one of my experiences, people have followed me, and I was able to personally prove that it wasn't just me being like wild and imagining things. Like physically following me, but I don't think it always has to be, because they can, everybody has a fingerprint, I'm pretty sure, where I don't know all the science behind it, but my understanding is that everybody has an electromagnetic fingerprint. And it's kind of like your real fingerprint, where they can detect who you are without needing to even like do anything but read your energy, basically. So if they have satellites doing that in the air, like they put up a lot of satellites and don't tell us what they're for. It's totally possible they could also attack people this way. I think if we think about like there was one FOIA that was really interesting from I don't know if you saw it, but the Washington Fusion Center or something like that had accidentally leaked out the wrong image in response to a FOIA that talked about using towers, if you know what I'm talking about, to actually attack people this way, which I think is interesting. It's talking about using frequencies to actually affect people in some way or another through all of the networks in the air. So I think there's a lot of ways they could target somebody without needing to follow you around, even if they wanted to follow you around, if that makes sense. Like they don't have to physically be there to target you with these things anymore.
Yeah, sort of with satellites. And I think that's the weirdness here. I've heard this before, people talking about scalar waves and able to target people through particular frequencies, things like this. And again, I'm not a scientist. I don't know what to make of it, but it seems like I did some digging tonight, of course, as I do, and it seems like this directed energy stuff goes way, way, way back. Like this is not even new. And so for us to like suddenly, like the CIA is saying, oh, well, we have no idea what's going on here. That seems sus AF to me, because really you've been working on this, Mr. CIA, since 1947, right? Like I've got documents that describe this stuff going back to the MK Ultra days, and you're trying to tell me we don't know what this is now? Again, that seems suspicious. Doesn't that seem suspicious to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an easy sell on this one. I don't know if it's this exact thing, but similar things have affected me for at least 18 years now. Like that's when I started noticing them. I've had weird situations where I'll hear a frequency, and I've got some of them recorded. I record them whenever I notice them, but I'll hear a frequency, and then like 30 minutes later, I'll just pass out. Or I'll hear it, and then 15 minutes later, I'll start getting really bad headaches, or my body will be in pain, or I'll get like burning, like on my neck or something. I've had situations where like I wasn't having a seizure, but like I was like shaking in bed. That happens like every 2 months. Like these things happen all the time, and my doctor for 18 years multiple doctors have just said it was stress. Stress doesn't do that. I think people don't understand this, and when people don't understand something, they tend to just be like, "Oh, it's psychological. It's not real," because that's something that can work in their worldview without having to change their mind.
Yeah, and that's why I want to talk about this type of stuff. As you know me, you've been a friend of mine, a friend of the show for a long time, and so there's a lot here I think that just gets left off the table. I mean, even 60 Minutes, right? They're going in. It's good that they got eyewitness accounts and people telling their story, but again, that stuff's edited. I'm sure they interviewed them for 30 or 40 minutes or an hour and chopped it down to like a 6-minute soundbite. Like, what didn't they put out there that they could have? It clearly, like, it's all about narrative shaping and scripting and the rest of this, even when you get eyewitness accounts. I'd be curious to see what the individuals that were interviewed now after the fact say about what they actually aired versus what they told them, because you know how it works, right? You clip things out of context and you say this or say that, you can make anybody sound like they said almost anything. Pretty wild stuff. So what do you think about the idea of this mind virus? Do you think that's a possibility? And maybe not in particular, let's say in terms of this particular thing, the Havana syndrome, but what about, do you think the idea that this sort of mass psychosis could be used to maybe debilitate people in some way through trauma or brain damage or otherwise?
Yeah, so I agree with you that I would like to hear what they say as a follow-up. Even if the narrative is trying to be played out in a certain way, I just want to touch on this real quick because you brought it up a second ago.
Sure.
Even if they're trying to play out a certain narrative, it's the same as the UFO thing to me. It's like, the fact that they're getting more people to think about it is still a positive to me, regardless, because it's like a double-edged sword. Whenever you teach somebody something new, they can use it in a bad way or a good way, but at least it's like out there to be talked about now. Regarding your second question about the mind virus, there's actually a number of conspiracies that have gone pretty far back that talk about a similar thing. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Virus 23 or anything like that.
Doesn't ring a bell, no. Virus 23, never heard of it.
I won't go like deep dive into this one, but there's this conspiracy called the Virus 23 that talks about it goes back to like this, I think the 60s or 70s, but it got really big in the 90s when there was kind of this book about the mathematical concept of how memes are going to affect the future, and this is before memes were like a thing, right? But there's this book on the mathematics of memes and how people are going to essentially be kind of communicating through just memes in the future, and these memes are going to be used as a weapon to actually normalize the intelligence of people, because they're not going to actually be deep diving into things as much anymore. They're just going to be agreeing with things all the time. And there's like these books that go into like the mathematics of why this is a weapon and not a good thing. But there's a whole conspiracy around that called Virus 23, which is really interesting. So I think there are like mind viruses like that, and I think that's a lot of my personal belief is that's what ASMR is for, and a lot of other technologies out there right now that I don't think I could talk about on here, I think are all built around the idea that you're trying to infect people's mind with what you might call a demon, not necessarily like the spiritual kind of demon, but like putting these viruses inside people's minds and trying to kind of trick people into like wearing themselves down.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
I don't think that's what this Havana syndrome thing is, but I think it's a nice thing for them to point at and say, oh, it must be that. So that whole claim for me for this specific case is a little bit of a something I can't jump onto, but I do understand why people would land there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so the individual that I'm sure you heard the clip from the guy on Mick West's podcast. So he's convinced that this is just some sort of psychosis, some sort of mass psychosis, and he's like, I'll bet my crisp $100 bill that and he'll resign his job at this illustrious board or whatever the hell he works at if somebody can prove to him that there's actually some sort of direct energy weapon happening here. Which again, I'm not even sure it's possible to cause yourself brain damage through some sort of mass hysteria psychosis. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, it just does not. Isn't that something that comes and goes in short doses and passes very quickly once the situation passes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe it at all. I anxiously wait that person's resignation because they're spreading lies.
And hopefully losing that crisp $100 bill.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Perfect. What else you got for us? We got James behind you. So
yeah, that's it. Just trying to give that side of it, I guess. I think it's exciting to hear people talking about this a lot. It's something that like 5 or 6 years ago, like I wasn't even like going to tell anyone, so getting it out into consciousness is a big thing, regardless of whether the truth is getting out there or not. And it helps people find the truth when they hear a lie. So that's good to me.
Amen. That's what we do. Consider the possibilities and talk about the things. Bailey, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for calling. Thanks for hanging out. Pleasure's mine. You're welcome to stay right there. Just go ahead and mute up, and you can listen right from where you're at. Thanks for the call. I appreciate that. If you want to link me your SoundCloud, I'll share it as well, and we'll share your music. Bailey has a SoundCloud channel, does all kinds of great music, and I'll link that as soon as I get a link for you guys. All right, so we're talking about this tonight, this idea of this mind virus. And this, again, I'm going to play this clip one more time just to reframe this so you know what I'm talking about here. In terms of the Havana Syndrome, we've got this individual that was on with Mick West on his podcast. The date was actually October 22nd, 2021. It's Robert Bartholomew. Okay, listen to what he said regarding Havana Syndrome.
Well, Professor Ballo and myself would be happy to testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And honestly, I think that would be the end of Havana Syndrome. I really do, because we would point out what's been going on here. I can tell you right now, I'll resign my position as an honorary senior lecturer in the Department of Psychological Medicine at Auckland University if anybody can demonstrate to me that the diplomats and intelligence officers in Cuba suffered brain damage, or that there was hearing loss or major white matter tract changes in people's brains. This is science fiction. And look, if I had $100 to bet, I would bet every single penny on the mass psychogenic illness horse, because it's going to come in.
Okay, it's going to come in. There it is. What are your thoughts on this? Is this even possible? Is it possible for people to actually cause themselves brain damage, long-term memory loss, hearing loss, vision loss, all kinds of this stuff, vertigo-like symptoms, dizziness, falling down, all kinds of things from mass hysteria? You tell me. 702-957-1037. Let's go to James in Michigan. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Everything's fixed up. Go right ahead, James. What do you think about this?
Well, it's interesting, just going on some of the chat here tonight. A couple of people have mentioned the idea of magic or the paranormal being involved somehow. And I also think it's interesting, and one of those clips earlier from the 60 Minutes thing, the guy in the clip said that he started feeling weird the next morning, but there was this white van outside his house, like at, 3:30 in the morning?
Correct.
Where have we heard that before?
That seems to be a conspiracy trope, doesn't it? It seems to be like that's the targeted individual thing that they've, that's like X-Files type stuff, isn't it?
That's also when just other paranormal things happen with a lot of people.
Oh, 3 a.m. 3 a.m.
They see or hear things in their homes that they can't explain. And I just think it's interesting. It makes me wonder, and we've talked about this off air in just the voice chat before. I feel like if there are so many of us that are looking into all of the strange and the paranormal and unexplained stuff, then of course people in power are going to be looking into all that. And it wouldn't surprise me if, I don't know about in this case, but if they do figure out a way to weaponize it and to, again, the repetition thing, that's I think Dre said that was part of, that sounds like almost like magic. I think it was her. But I agree. That's part of it. If you think of, again, going on spells, going on, because there have been people throughout time that have had adverse effects all of a sudden, and they think that they're being cursed by someone.
Ah, interesting. I'm always joking about don't give me a tarot reading. I don't want you pointing the bone at me. So I wonder, is this a sort of one of those situations where it may be of paranormal and nature, meaning that so what Dre said earlier is that basically if you're casting a spell, it is a form of directed energy in and of itself, right? Let's go to Dungeons and Dragons for a moment. That would be like a magic missile. You see what I'm saying? But what about a mind magic missile? Something like this, right?
Yeah, a mix of modern techniques with possibly, older knowledge of rituals and or energies, certain kinds of energies that you can send after people. Maybe even beings that are made of this energy, whatever you want to call them. Maybe that's also in some cases why, and again, you mentioned in the beginning of the show, Skinwalker Ranch, the hitchhiker effect. Maybe in the case where the family had to leave their home and then they went to this hotel, but then they were still having problems. It just took a little while for whatever or whoever, and again, this is going out there, but to catch up to them.
Yeah, interestingly, we got this thread, actually, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter yesterday. Stephen Greenstreet tweeted, "I can't help but think of the stories coming out of Skinwalker Ranch." I'll put this tweet up on the screen here. And Brandon Fugal, actually, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, answered him and said, "Acute medical episodes are a terrifying reality at Skinwalker Ranch, backed up by extensive medical reports and documentation. Many of these episodes correspond with periods of UAP and UFO activity, electromagnetic anomalies, and other events with many credible witnesses." And he's got this slide he linked here with types of episodes just on Skinwalker Ranch. Check this out. See if this sounds familiar. Interference syndrome near death, likely beam RF exposure, hospitalization, vertigo, nausea, perception altering experiences, temporary paralysis, auditory impairment, localized rapid onset disorientation. Does that or does that not sound almost exactly like Havana syndrome?
It does, and so that's what really has me wondering. You have to figure, like I said, if we're thinking about all the the strange possibilities out there, so are at least some people that are in power, and they're gonna use it in whatever way they can.
And of course, weaponize it, right? You just gotta weaponize it. Yeah, wild stuff. What else you got for us, my friend?
That was it. Just great show, great calls, as always.
Appreciate it very much. James here has a podcast. It's called Salcedo Paranormal. He goes 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and he talks about paranormal stuff. A good friend of mine. Appreciate the phone call, James. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. You too. There you go. Easy as that. If you want to be part of the show, these fine folks, Bailey and James, are on Discord, but you can give us a call at 702-957-1037 or join the Discord. Either works. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. It's right there. Can't miss it, right on top. All right. So some other interesting things other than this Skinwalker Ranch possible connection. What's going on with this? Again, like I went through and I was digging into some of this old school stuff. Look at this. This is an old NPR article, right? This is from actually October 21st, 2021. Headline is this: long before Havana syndrome, the U.S. reported microwaves beamed at an embassy. Well, guess when this was? In 1996. Michael Beck and a colleague at the National Security Agency were sent to a hostile country on a brief assignment. After being detained at the airport for about an hour, they were allowed to go, but they knew they were being closely watched. A few days into the assignment, Beck woke up at his hotel feeling terrible. Quote, "It was extreme fatigue and weakness. I was a bowl of jelly and couldn't get moving," said Beck. He was suspicious of the cause, but the symptoms went away. A full decade later, Beck was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's disease at age 46. WTF is going on here? The article continues. At almost exactly the same time, his colleague from that trip, Chuck Goubet, received the very same diagnosis. Goubet, who died several years later, had a family history of Parkinson's, but Beck didn't. Beck came to believe that his illness was caused while on that trip, and he filed a workers' compensation claim with the NSA. As part of the process, the NSA sent Beck a short but striking letter in 2014. Now, listen to this. This is the important part. This is in 2014, and this is a quote. This is the letter here itself. Here's the blurb that's important. The National Security Agency confirms there is intelligence information from 2012 associating the hostile country to which Mr. Beck traveled in the late 1990s with a high-powered microwave system weapon that may have the ability to weaken, intimidate, or kill an enemy over time and without leaving evidence, the letter said. Weird. Way back to the 90s, 1996 we're talking. Isn't that strange? Isn't that bizarre? How come the CIA has no idea what this is? Can anybody tell me that? I want to know what the hell's really going on here. And I don't know. The questions I have are many. Is this propaganda? Is this some sort of mass psychosis? Is this actually a directed energy weapon? What's going on here? Is it possible to maybe transmit a mind virus in which we do damage to ourselves? Can it transmit it through a television, through a radio, through the internet itself? Is this a magic spell, some sort of occult ritual has been suggested? I don't know. Like I said, the more I think about this, the more confused I am, and I don't know what to think. So in the end, you guys know how this works. It doesn't matter what I think anyway. It only matters what you think, because it's your reality. You tell me. Is this suspicious? Is there something to this? Is the mind virus, once again, mind virus is an idea or related set of ideas that inhabits vulnerable minds, creates conflict in the mind, and can spread from that mind to other minds. Is that what's going on here? Or is it something else entirely? They would have us believe it's both. It's neither. It's nowhere. It's nothing. It's nothing to see here. This might be propaganda. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, the more I think about this, the more troubled my mind becomes. And you know what that means. That means the bad news is we're done for the evening on Fringe. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. That's including the podcast feed. And I don't know. I just don't know what to think here. There's a lot to this. As always, a lot to consider, a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. And that's why we do this. I don't know. I don't have answers. Answers are easy because you get to just slide in, pick an opinion, and roll. Well, life is far more complicated than that. And so I have a troubled mind. And again, if you want to help the show, spread the word. You can actually sub up through Patreon or Rockfin or Twitch, or just listen to the podcast feed. That helps us very much as well. Tons of gold back there in the old archives of Troubled Minds. 4 years in April. I'm very proud of that. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. Thanks for all the amazing phone calls tonight. Thanks for spending your time and energy with us. It makes a very large difference. And as we finish, it goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right, third hour of Troubled Minds coming up. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is this some sort of occult magic? Is this some sort of directed energy weapon? Is this a mind virus? What is this? What's going on here? Why are we being told so many different things? I think there's one thing we can all probably agree on. Havana Syndrome is not crickets. GTFO, it is not crickets. Get out of here. That's garbage. Don't bring that crap here. I don't want to hear that. All right? What do you think this is? Is this one way to control people? Maybe. Is it a directed energy weapon, targeted individual style? Maybe. Is it occult magic like you would expect from Sidney Gottlieb, the Black Sorcerer of MK Ultra? Maybe. You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Don't go anywhere. Third hour of Troubled Minds coming up. 2-minute break. 2-minute break. Be right back. Taking your phone calls. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're taking your phone calls. We're still talking about this. Do you think this is... what is it? What is it? Like, there's so many options here, and there's so much propaganda swirling regarding this, including this 60 Minutes that we've been talking about tonight. What the hell's going on? Is it some sort of paranormal aspect? Again, right, the hitchhiker effect like James was describing with Skinwalker Ranch, with people, this thing following them around. Remember, like I described in the very beginning with Poltergeist in that movie, once they moved to the hotel and all this stuff stopped, they threw the TV out. They're like, we don't want it. So what the hell is going on here? And, I've heard the directed energy weapon scenario, but what if it is from satellites? What if it is some sort of frequency that can tune into, like a particular set of DNA code or something? I don't know. Like I said, this stuff drives me a little bit nuts because it's extremely unclear what's going on anymore. And that's the nutty part. That's the craziest part about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org and bingo. Let's see. Everybody's good. All right. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you? Test 1 2. You there, Kelly? If you're trying to come through and you can't, because I don't hear you, maybe try updating Discord. I think that's what happened to James, possibly. There was a Discord update the last couple days, but I do not hear you. I do not hear you if you hear me. So just to let you know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better now. What's going on, Kelly? How are you?
Oh, not too much, man. How's it going?
Doing well. Just considering crazy shit like usual. What do you think this stuff could be, my man?
Well, it could be, when they talk about like directed energy weapons, right? They can also be called particle beams, or like or like some laser can they can use it through laser. But there's different type of weapons that military and now some it went public. So some police departments in LA, they've already had them in some kind of detention centers, kind of like jails and stuff. But they're called ADSs. They're called active denial systems, right? So they're supposed to be non-lethal directed energy weapons, right? They're mostly used for perimeter security and crowd control. And what it does is kind of like when people are hit by it, they say like they feel like their skin is heating up, and that's what it does. It's kind of like a microwave. And microwave uses like longer wavelengths, in a shorter distance or a longer time, and this uses like a shorter waves, and that's how it like once it hits the surface, it heats it up. And there's supposedly you can set them even dial enough to where they hit like when they use them for crowd control, it's supposed to only go into a certain depth of the skin. But if it's if they're constantly being used on you, they're going to leave like burn marks and whatnot, like what a microwave. But it looks different, like white patches at first. But I'm pretty sure if you're being affected, hitting your different organs inside your body, kind of like us when we was in the Navy, we used to be on the flight decks, hidden by those radar systems that are up there. All these different frequencies, are going to affect any kind of stuff like that. So, yeah, directed energy means just like how it sounds, with these type of things. Like another one that they use is, from Raytheon is called a Silent Guardian. So, again, these are supposed to be for like security, crowd control, whatever, but it can be directed. It can either be sprayed out onto a crowd, so it's like a wide beam, or you can direct it to a certain person or a certain point. And when it's doing that, it's more intense. So if these people that are being affected by that could be maybe what's going on with them,
Yeah, and I think the unfortunate part here is there's so many things that could be, because we do know about the crowd control type weapons you're talking about. As a matter of fact, what Mike Algorithm brought up, Mike in Colorado, was a February 12th in Canberra protest in Australia. they say that they did use these sort of crowd control directed energy weapons on the people that were there, just demonstrating against against the lockdowns and the rest of this stuff. And they've got photographs. I'm not going to put them up on the screen, and I'm not going to share this article. I'll share this on the Discord if you guys want to check it out. I don't know if we'll get taken down for sharing this, but there are photographs here on Twitter and whatnot where there are people with like burn marks on their face, and they're like their face like the day later is like all puffed up and like looks like they have like an extreme sunburn and things like this. They've got a tri-field meter that's measuring 13.544. What is this? I don't know exactly what that means, but milliwatts of power being pulsed into the crowd. So I mean, there's some ridiculous stuff going on here, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure you can even share this stuff and not get taken down. But supposedly this is what's going on, and I think we know that part. But do you think this is what's happening with the 60 Minutes thing, with these individuals that have been targeted somehow? Again, the diplomats or the rest of this. Like the one guy, he said he moved, right? He moved from he took his family from his home to a hotel. There was relief, but then they went to sleep, and then it started up again, like they had been followed somehow. What do you think about that?
Well, that could be anything like that. That's like, because they've got those things down to where they almost look like a 5-pound packet, you know what I mean, up to like 35 pounds, like a suitcase, and you can use those things anywhere. So or it could even be satellite systems, because nowadays, they're with lasers and everything else, with different type of, even ground penetrating radar systems. I'm pretty sure I know the military has got a lot of that stuff, some of those, blue room things we couldn't get into, like especially on an aircraft carrier. But yeah, man, we also have other stuff too, like like that guy was saying, he was seeing, hearing a sound. We also had another weapon, the LRAD, which is all it's called a long acoustic, a long acoustic device and long range acoustic device. So once you use those two, it kind of almost sounds like the both. The military has actually tried to, add that both, that where they're getting the sound and the burns. You know what I mean? So, again, if you can direct that to it, that's what I believe anyway. That could be a possibility to me. Because if you're, standing even in any kind of, where they're going to direct that thing towards you, you're going to get fried in those certain areas, who knows where they're going to be pointing. And some of the stuff now that they can see through walls, so they can pinpoint wherever you're at, there's a new satellite systems. It was like that other guy was talking earlier. They're shooting out all these satellites that all these countries are claiming to be secret satellites, right? So all this new technology, especially China, they're not waiting on anybody or even copying anybody anymore. They're just going ahead and doing all this stuff, So I wouldn't put it past any kind of country. I'm not, just trying to say China itself. We got Russia. Anybody who's got a satellite or paid for a satellite or launched one is going to be, you would want to take a look at. Especially United States. We've had that stuff since the 50s. We've been messing around with that stuff since forever, Especially with with the satellite systems, they were, doing that with like weather control. LBJ had when he was talking to a university about weather control, back then in the 60s. That was early 60s and stuff. Yeah, there's a video of him talking about that. It's in the radar. He was saying it was a satellite system they had, and he who controls the weather is going to control the world. So I mean, any of these like directed energy weapons, particle beams, anything like that. That's it. That's pretty dangerous, man, when you're messing around with that shit.
Yeah, and so these people have long-term effects. Like, I don't know if you caught that 60 Minutes. They had different eyewitnesses last night that had actually experienced this firsthand, right? Not just themselves, but also their families. One guy lost sight in one eye. It basically made him have damage to his nervous system forever, right? Like it hasn't gone away. We're talking about years now, and he needs a seeing eye dog, like actual service dog now to get him around type stuff. Like this thing ruined this guy, and we're saying, this other guy on the Mick West podcast is like, oh, I'll put my job and this $100 bill on it, that it's some sort of mass psychosis. What do you think about that idea that it's not real at all? It is a mass psychosis thing here.
No, that gets into another rabbit hole where, that whole mass hysteria type shit, That's, where you get into MK Ultra with the mind control. They've been, especially the other guy he was talking about, what was it, memory loss and stuff like that. But yeah, man, you get into something like that. We've already talked about, a lot about some of those patents and that's been going on since the 50s. We can also, like the first patent I know that there was it's patent number 3014477, and it was called the hypnotic inducer, right? It was first put out in 56, but it was issued in 61. So they've been working with this shit for a while, Anything that's going to be, even like with Tesla too, right? There was some quote that he had, like he was saying, all biological systems on Earth, the alpha waves, they range between 6 and 8. That's all human beings, the planet itself, right? So he says if you can tap into that, you can control, like a mind control of all the species, like all the humans and stuff. But see, the electrical resonance of that, it's also between, it's between 6 and 8. So again, if they're taking some of that stuff, and who knows what they, the government might have got their hands a hold of, Again, could be even satellites, There's even like anti-satellite weapons and stuff. People now, like you look at, Russia, they're trying to take out other satellites through rockets, and so it's a space war, man. And it's like my mom was talking about this. We were wanted to talk about the same thing the other night when it happened, when it showed. My aunt was watching it, but yeah, I was telling her it's new technology, man. It's not even, they don't even need all these massive armies and navies anymore. It's all going to be through digitalized, you know what I mean? It's going to be kind of like through Tesla, you had that death ray where you're saying you can wipe out whole armies, just miles away without having to, waste any of your energy or anything, just shoot it out there.
Oops, sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, that makes sense. And so it's not the first time either. I was going through some of this other stuff, like the history of these direct energy weapons, and there's an old one. They said that they're able to harness the power of the sun. Have you heard this before? Where I can't remember. Let's see, I had it here somewhere, but they were actually talking about they were able to, with some sort of mirror I can't remember the name of this device. I'll find it in just a sec here. But they were able to actually, here we go. Got it right here. Let's see. Anyway, I'll find it later. But okay, so they say that as early as 1939, the laser was invented and studies initiated. 1952, high power microwave technology was being invested upon. So I mean, like you said, this goes back to the 50s. I don't know, man. This becomes sick at some point, right? Like you say, like the war is not going to be fought the old school way. It's silent weapons, quiet weapons for silent wars, right? And this is what we're dealing with now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's and I'm not do like a whole conspiracy, but it's the truth. Even with 5G, I don't even like that shit too, man. I'm telling you, why would they even have like all these things? There should be 100 of them. Every 100 feet. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a wide blanket of covering of this new style technology. That, and that's actually the range that they're using, right? The type of the kilowatts or the gigahertz, right? Or you can adjust those. They're actually even higher than what the military considers as a direct energy weapon. So, I mean, I don't know, man. What are they really doing? You know what I mean? So, and if it is the mass hysteria, that'd be one way to do it. Because some of these mind control things too, they do it by low frequency microwave systems. Is when they were first trying to test out when they were, testing this stuff out. That's why I believe like everything they want is everything. They're trying to send everything into like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It's just an easier way to get into the mind. And that's where you were talking about the mind worm or the mind disease, right? The mind virus, where that could be one or two things. That type of thing where there's a slow birth crawl into the brain where finally, it's controlling the mass hysteria, like all the mass, right? That's kind of like what they did with, the testing what Germans did with like fluoride, right? That was kind of like make everybody docile. I believe it's the same thing, but on a mass scale, you can start doing that. Again, it's the same thing, I said earlier was just with Tesla, it's been around. They've been messing with this stuff for a long time, man. And, just the other stuff, they just want to introduce drugs to see if that could ever happen. And what's even more scarier is they control the water systems, that's into these cities. So, they already put fluoride in there, so who knows what else they're going to dump in there. It's just recycled shit water anyway.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's been going on for so long that what do we believe anymore? I think that's the thing that drives me the most crazy about all this is what the hell are we supposed to believe, right? They tell us that, the CIA doesn't know what this is. Are you shitting me? Like, clearly, like, we know exactly what this is, right? I don't know. Like it just seems that the highest, most sophisticated intelligence gathering apparatus in the entire world, the American government, they're like, no, we don't know. It's like, what?
That's just coming out of the department. It's either them or, the CIA is a dirty organization itself. They're not even for the United States. They're like an entity. They want to be an entity in all its own, kind of like a world police, but like coming out of just one country, which is dangerous, man. These guys have been doing some dirty shit for even against the United States people, supposedly their own people. But again, that's not what these people believe in anymore, They haven't for decades.
Exactly. So here's that thing I was trying to find. It's called the Archimedes death ray. According to ancient accounts, Archimedes, already a famed inventor of the Mediterranean city-state Syracuse, destroyed the naval might of the Romans with his ingenuity. In 212 BC, Rome had laid siege to Syracuse in the course of the Second Punic War. The Sicilian mathematical genius first assaulted the Roman flotilla with catapults and enormous cranes equipped with grappling hooks. Archimedes then rolled out his giant round mirror flanked by smaller mirrors. The reflective surfaces concentrated the sun's rays on the wooden ships, building up to a primitive laser. The solar ray gained enough concentration to kindle a flame and burn the entire Roman fleet. There you go. That's what I was trying to find. The Archimedes solar death ray. There you go.
About that, too. You know what? I kind of I get weary about that, too, when, that whole Chinese fake Earth thing or fake sun thing they sent up there, supposed to be an artificial sun. They want to have, sun all the time or what? That's I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want to buy that. To me, that sounds like a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely sounds like a weapon, doesn't it? I think that's part of the problem here is what the hell is really going on? And so think about it. That's 200 BC. We're talking about an actual directed energy weapon. You know what I mean? So it's and clearly it's not the same thing. It's mirrors in the sun and this type of thing. And there's even some people that say it never happened. It's a myth. But still, right? The idea existed. And so you're telling me the CIA has no clue what the hell's going on here? No, man. Nah.
That's a myth either, though, man, because if you really think about it, they were burning the cells. If you can direct even some kind of mirrors or even say it was a glass, if you could try to have make a glass back then, you know what I mean? Because they had all kinds of weird stuff that, I've seen where it was this big chunk of glass. It was before, as a big chunk, this thing was 50 tons. Right, and some people thought and university students thought when they first seen it that they thought it was glass. Well, they had to test it, and it was glass, but it was it's a big molted part where you can send out and then make glass bowls after they kind of reheat it back up and stretch it out. But again, if like, I don't know if they would even say it was mirrors or, you know, kind of like just a big piece of glass, because, you know, you can direct sun heat with that and burn anything. That shit, you can melt rock doing something like that. There was a guy with a big, you know, big piece of glass like that, you know, like a, you know, had it put it on a piece of rock, just the beam on it, you know, directing that on it, and they turned it into lava. That was pretty crazy. So, you know, you never know, man. That's a directed energy weapon because you're trying to direct that shit. And again, it's just like how just like that too. You know, you take a magnifying glass and you're trying to, it's how you direct that beam. You could spread it wide, or you want to. The more you put it into a point, the more dangerous it is. It can melt. That's why I'm saying, like that guy, he's missing his eye, or you know, these guys are getting gray matter destroyed. I don't know how bad it would be internally, but on the surface wise, I know that's where it can be penetrated. You know, again, the way they direct that shit, they can go deeper into you. I'm pretty sure, man. That's all you have to do is adjust a couple knobs here and a couple knobs there.
Yeah, right. And so who knows how deep that technology goes? That's part of the conversation here. Wild stuff, man. What else you got for us tonight?
Well, you know what else you got too? I also think about too is like what the government has is like the secret weapon, or it's a secret space plane, right? The X-37B that they send up there, and that thing can sit up there for like months at a time and then come back down. It's for the Air Force. It kind of looks like a small space shuttle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think 6 to 8 months at a time, they say. It can stay up there for a very long time.
Yeah, man, because it's unmanned, but who knows what... and that's all secret. You know, whatever it does is all secret, too. So, I don't know. They claim the door, it could flip over like the airplane flips over, bottom's facing down, the doors open up. Whatever cargo payload it's got, you know, is all secret, too. You know what I mean? And now all these gyrosynchronous orbit that they have, you know, or polar orbit, they can get all over the planet. You know, so it's kind of, man, these governments are playing some dirty shit. And I think that's what it is. It's got to be directed energy weapons to these people. All these countries got their hands a hold of this stuff now. It's not like just one person can have it. You know, it can be probably cheaply made.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, and that's the crazy part here. And then this 60 Minutes comes out, and it's all over the place. It seems like, again, kind of beating the war drums, right? How I started out the show tonight. I'm just so sick of like hearing every night that Ukraine has been invaded, and then you know turn on the news the next day and it hasn't been. So why the hell are we talking about this like this? Like it's distressing, let's say. It's you know, that movie Wag the Dog, right? It's like is this really what we've become? Let's just, for political points, let's start a war. Get the hell out of here, man. Like it's disgusting. It pisses me off a lot, and I know you feel the same way. It's just That
one's all about the money, man. That one's all about money too. Because what's funny is that, like, I seen on the news where, you know, it just happened. I don't watch it, but it happened to be on there because we're trying to get the weather. That's the most thing we watch for. But they were saying that both countries, there was a church that was bombed. I don't know if everybody's seen it. One shows from the inside like a hole. It was artillery shell hit the wall supposedly. But one side of the countries came out saying, yeah, it was their church, and the other country saying it was theirs. But what's funny is they had the picture. One country showed the picture from the outside of the church, and then the other one showed from the inside. And they're both claiming it was in their country. So they just want to have some action, some war going on, because war equals money. You know what I mean? They have to spend to make weapons, and there you go. And how long it lasts, whatever. So, and that's what's sad about the same shit.
Yeah, agreed. Always the best, Kelly. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for the phone call. As you know, you're welcome to stay as long as you like.
All right, brother. Have a good night. It's gonna.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate the call. That's Kelly in Colorado. Always, again, the first caller I can remember on Troubled Minds. He's been with us for years now talking about amazing stuff. So thank you so much to Kelly. And thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. We're still taking your phone calls here. X-37B is what he was talking about. This is from Boeing, right from their page, right? Like he described it exactly right. The X-37B is one of the world's newest and most advanced re-entry spacecraft designed to operate in low Earth orbit, 150 to 500 miles above the Earth. The vehicle is the first since the space shuttle with the ability to return experiments to Earth for further inspection and analysis. The United States Air Force unmanned space vehicle explores reusable vehicle technologies that support long-term space objectives. And so, well, what are those long-term space objectives? is what we're talking about here tonight. Not just that, but I don't know. Like again, back to this Havana syndrome and the idea, right? Like, there's people that say, "Come on, there are no directed energy weapons. Mike, get out of here." Well, this is Mark Esper. Listen to what this guy had to say. He's a deputy. Hold on, I'll get you his exact title. One moment. Here you go. This is what he had to say. I'll tell you who he is in just a sec.
Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage. Furthermore, our competitors and adversaries exploit cyberspace to undermine our security without confronting our conventional strengths. They do this all in an increasingly gray zone of engagement that keeps us in a perpetual state of competition. The National Defense Strategy guides us as we adapt the force to this challenging, complex security environment by, first, divesting from legacy systems, second, reinvesting in our highest priorities, and third, making the tough choices required to break from the status quo and continue outpacing the competition. Thanks to our largest research and development budget in the department's history, we are advancing critical technologies to maintain our military edge in areas such as hypersonic weapons, directed energy, and autonomous systems.
All right. That stuff doesn't exist, but clearly he's saying it does. Mark Esper here is an American politician and manufacturing executive who served as the 27th United States Secretary of Defense. And, of course, that was him talking about this stuff. So notice, again, he's talking about China and talking about Russia and how they're weaponizing space and all the rest of this stuff. Well, clearly that means we are too. And, they're I'm not sure about the villains involved, but when you're weaponizing everything, well, at some point, what do they say about the abyss? Staring into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. Who's the monster, actually? So I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts here? Talking about Havana syndrome. I'll play these clips again one more time. 702-957-1037. Had a couple calls about to take. It's about to take, looks like a new call from Arkansas, and then that dropped. And then I was about to take Jennifer's call, and then that dropped as well. So there you go. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubleminds.org, and we're talking about this. Let's hear these clips one more time. How this Havana syndrome actually followed these individuals, and this is from 60 Minutes last night.
You must have thought that when you were home in America that you were safe.
I'll tell you, when I landed from China, I literally was kissing the ground.
We met Robin Garfield in 2019. He's a Commerce Department official who told us that he, his wife, and 2 children were repeatedly hit in China.
Your daughter was literally falling down? Yes. She fell down multiple times that day.
They were evacuated and enrolled in a State Department treatment program at the University of Pennsylvania. Recently, Garfield told us his family was hit again during their year of treatment in Philadelphia.
My wife catapulted out of bed and sprinted down the hallway to check the children without any word. And she came back and she told me that a extremely loud, painful sound had woken her up.
So they moved to a hotel where Garfield says it happened again.
Moved to a hotel and it happened again. Here's the second part of that clip, and then I'll read you some stuff here. What these warning signs are if this starts to happen.
And we woke up around, I believe, 2 a.m. With strange vibrations in our bodies and a sound.
Which led Garfield to check on his children in another room.
I saw an extremely eerie scene where both were thrashing in their beds, asleep, but both kicking and moving pretty aggressively. And I went over to my daughter and I put my head down next to her head. And I heard a very distinct sound just right there, sort of like water rushing. So I picked her up, took her in, put her with my wife, and came back, and I checked my son. Same sound just right next to his head. So I picked him up, put him on my shoulder, walked over to my wife, and I said, "We're getting out of here."
Garfield reported this to the FBI. Today, his family is posted abroad, where they continue to work to improve balance, eyesight, and memory.
See what's happening here? And so this is from a website called the Dewdroppin, and it's symptoms of electronic harassment and unhealthy EMF levels, and also directed energy weapons. Just going to read a little bit of this. They say the first stage signs of this happening is visual hallucinations. Where have we heard that before? Both adults and children should attempt to carefully sense whether they feel a shock or see lights as they drift off to sleep. Seeing colored lights is commonly reported. Being able to see colored lights inside your home is most likely contributed to the use of microwaves or neurophone device by your perpetrators. Extreme eye redness and feelings of grittiness and something stuck in the eyelid or on the eye. Extreme eye redness comes from several things. One, it can be a health problem like liver disease or pink eye, of course, or other bacterial or viral infections. Two, eye redness can be from sheer exhaustion, of course. And then three, in the case of gang stalking, they say eye redness and grittiness is something that occurs in the eyes after demodulation of energy hits your head, and lots of it. Okay, all right. There's a whole bunch here. If you guys want to check it out, I'll link this. But this is what I mean. So if this is really as widespread as we're expected to believe here, not just, again, remember, this happened not only in and around different areas of embassies outside the country. This stuff is happening on the White House grounds. You remember that? So that was on the on the 60 Minutes last night. They said this one young lady was coming out of the area at the West Wing, and right as she was coming down the steps, she got blasted by this, whatever it was, and it like she got dizzy, like dizziness overcame her, and this is on the White House grounds. So this is not just somewhere else. This is pretty wild stuff. But I don't know. You tell me. What are your thoughts on this? I'd love to hear. The third hour's for you guys. What are your thoughts? Is this exactly the mind virus, that sort of thing? Or is this just as simple as it sounds, these directed energy weapons? And is this a pretext for going to war? I think that's the biggest thing that drives me nuts about this, is what makes my tinfoil tingle here, is that, again, 60 Minutes sort of framing it in terms of, this is just short of war type of talk. And so makes me wonder who's paying what for these types of stories and how they frame them and the rest of that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. And as you know me, I don't have answers. I wish I had answers. Answers are easy, and the questions are hard. So I'm going to stick with the questions and continue talking about this, continue thinking about this. Let's see, what else do we got? But it was pretty wild, huh? Back to the Archimedes solar death ray, Mark Esper, and all the rest of this stuff. What else did I have? I had some pretty good stuff here. All kinds of different directed energy weapons. Let's look at this real quick. This is from AFRL Search, AF Research Lab. This is, again, directed energy weapons. This is literally them saying what kind of stuff they have here, right? A Starfire optical range. The space domain awareness freedom to maneuver in space is critical, blah, blah, blah. The ability to exploit the characteristics of space, blah, blah, blah. This other one, tactical high-power operational responder. It's called Thor. Counter swarm high power weapon. Thor is a counter swarm electromagnetic weapon in the Air Force Research Laboratory developed for defense of air bases. The system provides non-kinetic defeat of multiple targets, and that's the key. Non-kinetic defeat, non-kinetic weapons, right? What else? High-power electromagnetics offer the warfighter innovative technologies that enable a variety of low-collateral damage military applications that will allow the warfighter to achieve counter-electronic effects, counter-improvised explosive devices, and counter-weapons of mass destruction. Oh boy, weapons of mass destruction. Where have we heard that before? Laser systems, all kinds of stuff. Like, you can dig into this, and it's over and over and over again, where you see that this stuff is not only it seems to be real, but well, are they deploying these things? That's the question, right? So they got the conspiracy about the directed energy weapons. There's actual here we go, congressional research, the Department of Defense directed energy weapons, and this is September 28th, 2021. This is very recent. Listen to this. Directed energy weapons, DE weapons, use concentrated electromagnetic energy rather than kinetic energy to combat enemy forces. Although the United States has been researching directed energy since the 1960s, right here in the congressional report, some experts have observed that the DoD has invested billions of dollars in directed energy programs that failed to reach maturity and were ultimately canceled. In recent years, however, DoD has made progress on DE weapons development, deploying the first operational U.S. directed energy weapon in 2014 aboard the USS Ponce, P-O-N-C-E. Since then, DE weapons development has continued, with the DoD issuing. Again, look, there's a whole thing here. This is again from literally a congressional report on this stuff, and you can see what some of these weapons are, and so it makes you wonder, right? It makes you wonder what's up with the Havana syndrome and what's actually going on with this, because clearly and obviously there's something here. This is not just fake. This is not just whatever's going on. Yeah, there you go. Tam Bam's got it right. I have so many questions and no answers, and same here. And that's why I think that we need to kind of talk about this together. So you tell me, what do you think about the 60 Minutes thing? Did you see it? What do you think about the actual Havana syndrome itself? Do you think that it's possible this is some sort of mass psychosis? That's the whole idea tonight. Like, it seems to me, well, if you want to frame this in a national security perspective, right, perfect timing to maybe blame Russia for this. Well, with the Ukraine kerfuffle going on, I don't know. My tinfoil tingles. You hear the war drums banging, and you're not even trying to hear them. That's a problem. That's a serious problem, if you ask me. But I don't know. Again, for being the guy that's like, let's not go to war, please. Can we just please not go to war again? Like, I'm the guy that's like says it, and they're like, oh, this guy's a Russian asset. Get out of here. Get out of here. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Love to hear. We've got some more here. Let's play this other clip that I was going to play the sound itself, but let's not do that. But listen to this. This is the guy describing exactly what happened with the van. 702-957-1037. Going to play these clips one more time. I know people come and go. So let's hear this one more time, and then we'll round this out in one final segment. Let's go.
Those others include Miles Taylor, also speaking for the first time. Taylor was Deputy Chief of Staff and later Chief of Staff of the Trump administration Department of Homeland Security.
Your job is to oversee the roughly 250,000 men and women of the department that conduct a range of missions, from aviation security to border security to cybersecurity.
Taylor told us he was hit with the same symptoms described by Olivia Troy.
It was late one night in April 2018. I'd just become Deputy Chief of Staff of the department, taking on some additional sensitive issues at DHS, and woke up in my apartment that night, a row house on Capitol Hill, to a really strange sound.
The sound that woke Miles Taylor is a common experience reported by dozens of Americans stricken overseas.
It was sort of a chirping, somewhere between what you would think is a cricket or sort of a digital sound. I didn't know what it was, but it was enough to wake me up.
Enough to wake me up, right? And so that's the thing. Back to the witching hour here with James and what he was saying. Let's hear this other part, and then I'll go back to the chat and say hi over there, and we'll just keep on trucking.
What was really strange about it is I went to the window, opened up my window, looked down at the street, and keep in mind, Scott, this is probably 3:30 in the morning, and I see a white van, and the van's brake lights turned on, and it pulled off, and it sped away.
How long did it last?
This whole episode only lasted about 7 to 10 minutes.
How did you feel the next day?
Off, not ready to go to work, kind of wanting to take the day off, sick.
Then, about 5 weeks later, Taylor says it happened again.
Next day, feeling off balance, feeling just out of it. Again, those sort of concussion-like symptoms you would have from, getting knocked pretty hard. in a sport. And that incident stood out to me because I was actually just getting ready to leave to go to Israel on a congressional delegation. We were going to meet the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, have some sensitive conversations with the Israelis on important cybersecurity issues. And I remember because I got to the airplane at Andrews Air Force Base to take off and thought, I'm already nauseous. I don't know if I can do this flight.
Both Miles Taylor and Olivia Troy became critics of the Trump administration. But they told us that has nothing to do with what they see as a potential threat to national security.
Yeah, of course, you got to get the final dig in, right? So this is what I mean, right? Like just some of the way they frame these conversations is it's annoying to me. It's just like, come on, like. Can you just like get to the bottom of this stuff and not, actually report things and not have to mix in the propaganda? But let's not do this. Like I don't want war. Let's not go to war, please. Let's not go to war. What do you think? It doesn't matter what I think. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show, and it's as easy as that. Just kicking it. I was going to play the sound, but we've had some folks in the chat say that it's probably not a good thing to play the sound because we've got this actually happening. But you can look; it's all over the internet, and it's not just like conspiracy sites that are talking about these directed energy weapons. It's actual congressional reports. You can find this stuff, unclassified stuff where they're describing the technologies. So imagine again what DARPA's got. Imagine what the actual technology is that's not unclassified, the classified stuff, the really, really dirty stuff that, like Kelly was saying they use for crowd control and some other stuff. Sure, fine, we know about that. And by the way, I played one of those videos a while back demonstrating how it kind of heats you up, where they just turn it on the crowd, crank this thing on, and it makes your body hot, right? You start to feel like you're burning, and then so people run away. I played that video a long time ago on one of these Troubled Mind shows before it was on Fringe, and so it was just YouTube. And I played, it was like maybe a minute clip, and so I played the clip, and we got a copyright strike for playing the clip, right? But it's like, isn't this like taxpayer-funded stuff that, right? Like I should be able to play this anyway. So we've been through all kinds of through the ringer on this show because of just playing stuff like that in the past. And that's when you guys see me not share stuff or not play things in particular that I want to. That's why, because we've done it in the past and just almost been taken down, almost lost the YouTube channel several times over stuff like that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like I said, you know what I think. I talk a lot. Somebody save me. Somebody bail me out. We got about 15 minutes left. What are your thoughts on this? 702-957-1037. There's tons of stuff here. The timeline, again, in 1939, the laser was invented. 1952, high-power microwave technology invested on. Laser theory released by Charles Towns in 1958. 1959, Russia claims to have developed microwave-power anti-ballistic missile system. 1972, UK used laser weapons during the Falkland War. All the way up, right? 1985, 96. Let's see what they say is now. 2021, U.S. Navy installs a high-energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance systems to Arleigh Burke class Aegis destroyer. That's the Helios system, Helios. We have 2023. U.S. test a space-based directed energy weapon based on neutral particle beam technology. Oh boy. And then 2025, they predict laser weapons are fully operational and on combat systems and vehicles. Well, the future's here, right? This is exactly the type of stuff we're talking about. And, well, you tell me. What else do I got? Let's play this one thing. Give me a break here on... how about, and this is what made me wonder about this idea of the mind virus. Listen to this guy.
Well, Professor Ballo and myself would be happy to testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And honestly, I think that would be the end of Havana syndrome. I really do, because we would point out what's been going on here. I can tell you right now, I'll resign my position as an honorary senior lecturer in the Department of Psychological Medicine at Auckland University if anybody can demonstrate to me that the diplomats and intelligence officers in Cuba suffered brain damage, or that there was hearing loss or major white matter tract changes in people's brains. This is science fiction. And look, if I had $100 to bet, I would bet every single penny on the mass psychogenic illness horse, because it's going to come in.
It's going to come in. He says, so this guy believes it's just a mass psychosis. And I don't know, like, again, like, what do you do? Like where, if the world is all over the place on this, what do you do? And that's the question. That's why I'm wondering how much of this is propaganda, how much is BS, how much are they even talking about in truth anymore? And like I said, I think truth is a slippery fish, and that's what the show's all about. So again, I'm getting tired. Somebody help me, 702-957-1037, or we can just end a little early if you guys are over it. That's cool by me. It's all good. It's all good. What's going on, guys? Let's see. I've got, James says I got one more thing to mention. Yeah, okay. Go right ahead, James. Welcome to Troubled Minds, James of Salcedo Paranormal.
Hello.
Well, hello there. Good evening, sir.
Here we are again. So I think it's interesting, and I'm not sure if maybe you covered this earlier or not, but it seems like some of these things happen when the people are asleep. That's when they start. Or it's when they're possibly hit with whatever it is that causes all these things. It seems like from that last video that about the guy that had the experiences, it happened. He woke up at around that time in the morning to find a van outside his door. And then when the family moved from the house to the hotel, it was after they went to sleep that things started happening again.
Exactly. Like they had time to be tailed and then retargeted and then fire up the machine and do it again, right?
Or it has something to do with sleep. Something to do with the state of the mind when it's asleep.
Meaning what? What would be causing this, you think?
I don't know, but it's just interesting that that's something that's been mentioned a few times here in all these accounts.
Yeah, they wait till they go to sleep. Yeah, you're right. And you know what? That's the terrifying part about this is, like, if you're awake and you're sensing this, you have the good sense to get away, right? But if you're asleep, you're kind of is not registering with your conscious mind that something's wrong, and so you literally just lay there and get cooked. If this is what's happening, right? That's pretty sick.
Yeah, and because I mean that's exactly even if you wake up in the middle of it, you're still not completely waking up. I'm sure in a lot of cases. So it could have been that white van the guy saw. Maybe they had to leave because they were caught, you know, even though the guy couldn't really tell what they were doing, but you know they had to stop because he was awake.
Yeah, and he stuck his head out the window and saw him down there. I mean, that if that isn't suspicious, like I was saying, like, you know, like you feel this thing, you wake up, you're like, what the hell's going on? You look out the window, a white van pulls away, and then this thing stops. I mean. It seems very again, back to the X-Files, right? It seems very much like that. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't know how to frame it anymore. Like mass hysteria. I highly doubt that. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. I like to believe people when they say they've experienced something like this, especially if they have like actual damage to themselves. Like you were saying, right? This guy lost eyesight in one eyeball. And if you watch the 60 Minutes interview, he was describing that it wasn't like physical damage to his eyeball. His eye's fine. It was sort of like the wiring between his eye and his brain that was damaged, and so they can't fix it.
Yeah, the optic nerve bundle, possibly. Maybe that's what it is. That's how I was born with low vision, is because my optic nerve was not did not develop all the way or was damaged somehow. When I was born. So yeah, that's interesting too.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. Yeah, I don't know. As always, right? More questions than answers. It's does it seem like propaganda to you, listening to some of those clips, like kind of framing it in the national security realm?
Oh yeah, to me that always, no matter who it is doing that just there's so much that is put under that label, and it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like an awful lot. That term is just used to cover so much, and I just wonder how much of it really needs to be in that under that umbrella.
Sources and methods. Sources and methods. we're not allowed to tell you, James. We're not allowed to tell you. We just can't do it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I do like the idea of the paranormal aspect of this as well. That maybe they are being followed, right? Like we talked about that hitchhiker effect with Skinwalker, and you said maybe asleep sort of around the witching hour, 3 a.m. Maybe something like that is happening here. I kind of dig the idea. You do the paranormal podcast. Anything that kind of rings a bell that might be similar in some of the stories that you've discussed or thought about in on your time doing the podcast?
Just the timing of it, and I said in the chat too, it's not always necessarily right at 3, but in that range of like 2 till 4 in the morning. If you look up enough stories, you'll find that's fairly common. And it goes across the whole range of, I had sleep paralysis, or I woke up because I felt someone watching me at this time in the morning, I woke up and I saw these lights, either in or outside the house. It seems to just go across the board with the types of sightings that people or experiences people have, but there's that time that comes up in so many stories.
Okay, all right. So maybe something to that. Who knows? We talk about these occult rituals and whatnot. So I wouldn't put it past them, right? We know the government's been dabbling in that stuff for a long time too. So yeah, no, wacky stuff. I appreciate it, James. Thanks for hopping back in here and helping bail me out. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, no problem. Just more thoughts came, and but yeah, the timing of that is really interesting. And like I said, if we're thinking about all this, then they have to be as well, and they have a lot more resources, money and manpower, and than most people do. So I'm sure they're looking into it and trying different things out, and that could explain some of this. Maybe that could explain other cases of strange things that happened that we think are just random, but maybe they're not. It's just hard to say.
Hard to say. More questions than answers, and that's why this one's a tough one. Thanks again. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Check it out. Links in the description. Thanks again for popping in here, my friend.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, my man. All right, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. Give James some love. Good dude, doing good work over there, telling doing like we do, telling ghost stories on the internet, right? As our detractors might say. If you want to be part of the show, still looking to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? At the end, this isn't going to end. We're going to keep keeping an eye on this because this is a terrifying aspect in that once you go to sleep, right, you could be targeted in the middle of the night. They just pull up in a white van up front or whatever, crank this thing on, point it through your house. It can go through bricks or almost anything, and just make you ill. Start cooking you while you sleep, right? Like the guy said his kids were thrashing in their sleep, like sort of violently kicking, but they didn't realize what was actually going on, and they were being targeted by this thing, whatever it was. Let's go to Jack in Oregon. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hello again, Mike.
Good evening, sir.
I'll have to start out by apologizing for my kind of awkward call last time. I don't know. I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth.
I don't remember. You're totally fine by me. I stick my foot in my mouth like 10 times a night. I stick my foot in my mouth. You're good, bro. You're totally good.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right. I mean,
anyways,
it doesn't taste great, but what can
I'll try to play the devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Like, what that doctor was saying about psychology of people, I kind of agree with a little bit.
Okay, meaning that that this could be some sort of mass psychosis, you mean?
Well, like that, but more to the point of what a meme is. So, according to official history, the term meme, actually was coined by Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins, is that right? The atheist, okay?
That sounds right to me. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm listening.
Right. So that's what they say, but like, I used to go onto this website, deoxynucleic hyperdimension, which has been taken down, but it was the greatest website ever. And they had a news feed on it and all this different stuff. But they had a bunch of stuff about memes before memes were actually a thing. Like right now, like they changed the definition of memes. Memes are now like just kind of this little quick trendy thing. But the scientific papers on that website was like more like memes are literal, real things, programming for people.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense to me. That would be the mind virus, right? Where it is kind of dumbing down communication to peel out the nuance, and it becomes like supercharged propaganda, right?
It was like scientific before neuro-linguistic programming, or about the same time. There's these papers before. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I think it was before Dawkins got the credit for coining the term. Anyway, there's some really interesting papers on it. Programming people like computers. It's unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we do this. That's why this stuff drives me nuts. When again, so it gets featured, and like Bailey said, she's glad they're talking about it. But in terms of like the answers here, we don't have any more answers. We got people coming forward saying this is happening to them, but what the hell's really happening? That's the question, right?
Well, let me ask everybody out there. Have you noticed people acting like they've been programmed? I mean, come on.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What about the politics breaking up families? Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very painful, and that's all part of it. Like everybody's working through this apparently. You gotta, deal with it somehow.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. And again, I don't know. I wish I had answers here, but answers seem to be more and more difficult these days. That's for sure. What about this war beating the war drum and propaganda? Do you think this may have something to do with that particular thing?
Well, what I would say is like this whole meme thing is nothing new. Never has been around forever, probably. However, that does not exclude the other side of what you're saying with technology, and all of that is involved also.
Okay, it could be both. I see. People are
Definitely
mentioning
both.
Yeah, people are mentioning like maybe sort of Wi-Fi or 5G frequencies, things like this. Who knows? Again, like I said, we don't have answers because a lot of these studies kind of get suppressed, and we won't even know the long-term effects of that stuff till, for another 30 or 40 years probably, just on Wi-Fi itself. So, yeah, who the hell knows, man? Who the hell knows? Great stuff as always. Go ahead, what else you got?
Just before I exit out, one thing everybody should look at is how words change. If you change the definition of like fascist or any other word, meme, they changed that because I think it's like more serious than what they, like some picture with a funny deal. Okay, that's not a meme. A meme is a real thing. It's more serious than that.
Okay, gotcha. And they do it all the time. By the way,
what you want to look for is what's missing, not what you see. So,
okay,
necessarily. That's basically it, Mike.
Appreciate it, Jack in Oregon. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the phone call. Amazing stuff as always, bro.
Yep.
Have a great night. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. Got a couple minutes left if you want to squeak in here and give show feedback, your thoughts on this. What the heck is actually going on here? As always, I'm short of answers. I think that, like I said, answers are easy. Answers are lazy because you just tell people what you think. Because who really has the answers, right? I think there we go. That's what I think. And there it is. There it is. I see you guys over on Rockfin. Thanks for hanging out with us for so long. Everybody on YouTube. And let's wrap it down. We got a couple minutes left. Like I said, if you want to jump back in here, I know Bailey and Daryl are both in the chat. You guys want to pop in here and have anything to add to what anybody else said before we take off here?
Hi there. I forgot to mention, I'm a fan of David Adair. He was the rocket scientist that, well, anyway, I won't get into his history, but he was talking about these energy weapons and other weapons that they're called antimatter, which is very frightening. And he described them as something that, if you, let's say you could aim it at, like someone said, a mountain, you could aim it at a country and make it disappear. God forbid you do that. You might wipe out half of the planet. You could probably wipe out America. It would cause the Earth to probably go out of orbit and into the sun. And they have the power to do that. So they can't test these weapons on our planet because they're so dangerous. They could literally antimatter. Doesn't that sound horrible? I was just thinking about some things like, didn't we see like something in the sky that had a big flash? It was like the sun that you could see in the night sky from many, many light years away. And I was just thinking, what if like these people live on another planet and they wanted to play with that matter thing, or they wanted to play with their energy weapons, but they couldn't like survive it, so they had to go into outer space to blow up a planet. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. Like maybe that was like some masterminded elite on a different galaxy, far, far away, that decided to do some, play with their toys and see what it would look like, and that's what we're seeing in the distance. Some like supernova created by some other human. I don't know. Just saying.
All right. Fair enough. I dig it. I like all the angles. Bailey, anything while we got you there? If you're still there. You might not still be there. Test 1, 2. That's cool. Nothing. All right. Nothing. All right. Nothing. All right. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. All right. So as we finish this up, you guys know the drill. We go Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Let's play some outro music in GTFO. It's Monday's a long day for me. 2 shows on the whole deal, and there we go. So let's do it. Let's smash the button and go. Oh, there we go. Perfect timing for my webcam to take a crap. So you get to see nothing. Nothing. All right. It goes a little something like this. Trying to remember how it goes. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. Again, from my grandmother. That's for you, Jay, in New York, if you're out there listening. And if you want to help the show, you know what to do. Spread the word. That's the old school way of doing things. The word of mouth still plays. And these conversations go on. It is the great conversation, I like to call it, because it doesn't end. Tomorrow, there's another, and another, and another. And that's that. Spread the word. If you want to help to support the show, there's a few ways to do that. You can sign up on Rockfin, of course. You can sub that way. You can sign up on Twitch, sub that way. If you have Amazon Prime, you could do that at no additional cost, actually. If you have questions on any of this, let me know. There's also Patreon. Thank you to all the folks who have signed up to all those places. If you want to help the show itself, just listen to the podcast feed. The tons of old shows back there. Lots of gold in there. You can't hit a home run every show, but there's some damn home runs in there. So if you haven't heard a lot of the stuff we've done in the past, I encourage you to go check it out. Some of the very first episodes are up there, and it's before we were very good at anything. Like I said, it was one of those situations where it's like, you know what? Somebody needs to talk about this, so let's do it. And so we did. And that's that. So thanks again for all the amazing phone calls. Thanks for the thumbs ups in the chat there. Thanks for all the amazing chat and spending your time and energy with us. And let's see if I can fix this real quick to give you the camera outro. Come on, fix it. You can fix it, Mike. Come on. All right. So as we finish, that's what's up. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll be on Fringe, of course, and all the streaming platforms. As always, you guys are invited to be on the show. If you want to be part of the show, just let me know. Send me an email at troubledmindsradio@gmail.com, or you can leave me a voicemail at the persistent number, which is 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show with your voicemail. Simple as that. So thanks again. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the amazing thoughts tonight. And I don't know, when this comes down to this, is this war propaganda? Is it some sort of mind virus? Is it maybe paranormal in an aspect? Is it something else? Is it that X-Files white van targeting individuals? I have no freaking idea. Seems like there seems to be a lot of things here that it could be. And as always, right, bereft of answers, we have questions. So it goes like this. Little something like this or exactly like this? I don't even remember. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.